Cloud9 for being able to get that, but it's still all about how they play in game.
Still have Tarek on that side to be a bit tanky, but no real true tank coming out for their squad. Cloud9's going to have to act fast, take control of this game, because Flyquest won't give them an inch. Think Card and Reaper now removing themselves from the stage. They know this match is going to be a good one, and the respect is given. A packed house here in the arena at NALCS, and we are about to jump into game for Flyquest versus Cloud9, a long-awaited, and as you said, the beginning of the season put Flyquest at possible relegation, and now they're fighting to tie first.
Yeah, and we have been waiting all week for this matchup. We saw the teaser come out on Wednesday. I probably watched it about 15 times at my desk, and then the first series goes 3.5 hours, but finally, we're getting into game one.
Let's make it happen. Hashtag C9 win, hashtag Fly win. As you can participate over on social media, as you participate with your eyes. We're going to be into game Flyquest versus Cloud9. Game one. Starting off here in week 4. And they're out of the gates.
Right on. And something that has been very effective, surprisingly, for Flyquest has been Moon's early game, which wasn't expected coming into the season as a fairly criticized jungler. And even though Contracts has been lauded for a lot of his early season success, his XP, like his experience at 10 minutes, has been lowest of the starting junglers in the LCS. So even though he's been coming in and getting some good ganks off and having good team fighting phase, this is a potential place where Moon is going to look to make some things happen, and Contracts hasn't had the best success in the early game thus far.
Seeing too many deep wards, not real vision for Fly, but C9 will be privy to that location of Moon once he approaches his blue buff, being a little more sneaky with the wards, making sure they put him on the camps here for the Eve to keep a track on his route.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, the calm before the storm for sure. No one looking like they're doing any type of sneaky early game. Flyquest is trying to take advantage of the Malzahar support, which gives some of the best early game level 1 damage for the jungler. He's going to spawn the Voidlings in there for him, but interestingly enough, they haven't moved over Altec. He's going to be staying with the lane because they're going to try and have their cake and eat it too here. Give Moon the good pull while still trying to hit level 2 first. Meanwhile, C9 with a pretty standard start where the top laner is who helps with the jungle.
And as we begin the game, Pastry did catch up with Reaper after picks and bans to figure out how things went.
Thank you very much. I did get a chance to chat to Reaper quickly and asked him about the Camille pick that they got. Obviously, they're very satisfied to get it versus Balls, and who they didn't think could play it. The one thing for them that gave it away was last week, Flyquest did ban it away on blue side, so Reaper was fairly confident that they could get it in the second phase of the draft. In general, he thought the draft was very satisfactory, went really well for them, and he's drafted against ThinkCard a lot. It was actually their assistant coach last year during Worlds, so he was very confident and very satisfied with the draft. Back to you guys.
It seems like they would be. Sneaky has his engaged still after being kind of tucked down. 280 carries. Contract gets his grades. He can be aggressive. A little stop by Smoothie there. Sneaky takes a good amount of damage. Ooh. That long lane making it a bit scary for Balls, is losing that much health in the early game.
Yeah, he's got the Corruption Potion, at least for now, so he can sustain up early. And they're expecting Contracts to start red side. If he hasn't visited top lane yet, he's not expecting him anytime soon. So able to be pushed up a little bit with a little bit of educated guessing. Got to be careful about that level 3 Camille, though.
Ooh. Actually not really trying to mitigate any of that damage, either walking straight to the end of that for impact each time. He's getting the best of it. Moon hovering towards that top, just grabbing a bit of control for himself, so the team can work from that top to bottom. You're gonna have to wonder what this Camille will provide for Cloud9, so I'm sure he may spend a little more time in that top lane.
Yeah, well, we've seen a few Camilles in the LCS, and if he does get ahead early, it makes it really difficult on the backline like Altec and High to stay alive later. But right now, the wave is pushing in. Impact would naturally want to go for a ward here, and that's why Moon is here. They're hoping to get a gank off, but it's pretty tricky. Moon's in position. Impact has everything up.
Oh, went for that last CS. Can Balls get the hit against the wall? Oh, he gets the steadfast presence. Impact can't get himself flashed through the kickback as well, and just a few more hits. Impact is going to be going down by the buckler. No, The hit from Moon on the hate spike.
That's about as perfectly the gank could go for Flyquest, knowing that Impact has that hook shot and he's going to use it as a crutch for an escape. Balls, I feel like that was his first steadfast presence of the game.
Yeah.
Catches him out of the hook shot. Impact should have flashed first and then done that second. Couldn't escape. Flash follow by Moon, securing the first point.
You know, I kind of question Ball's ability to get in and out of that kick from Impact. Really just setting up the lane to say, I'm unhealthy, you can push up, it's okay, and then they jump on him.
Right, cannon minion up as well, so Impact just gotten caught by the end of that steadfast presence. And Balls was quite low, so if there was any Graves counter gank there, if he was anywhere close in the brush in the side lane, that could have turned around, but Flyquest with the confidence, decisiveness, and it pays off.
Five minutes in. Looks like the push here from Sneaky. Not too bad onto Alltech. The wave is just transferring to the other side. Alltech just had Sneaky in the team at their turret, so trading very even here. As the crowd supports their teams early in the game, they want to see the lead. A favor going towards them. And one kill over for Fly here. Will be some pressure into the jungle.
Yeah, both teams. Both teams, same amount of syllables in their names, so when they do competing chants, the let's go and
that's good.
The
you don't
clapping
have to...
is synced, but the team that you're rooting for is completely impossible to hear because they're talking over each other. I like it.
So 45 to 34 here, actually. Seeing Jensen come out on top of this lane to start things off. Usually the Jace is able to just kind of pressure that back caster wave and push you into the turret.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
This is tricky. Jensen is an incredibly accurate Cassiopeia, and especially since he's going to be able to go his first back to get a Tear of the Goddess and continue shoving in, it's going to be tricky for High to get the upper hand. Notice High actually already down flash, so when there was a lot of action going on earlier, that was pressure already applied. Jensen off to a spectacular start.
What a minion wave Jensen has piled up here. They might be calling for a little bit of help from Moon. If it's not contracts over the wall, they may not be able to get there in time. We will see.
It would be such a risky gank. Jensen a little low on his mana pool as far as full combos, but that's almost too much for Moon to be able to take on at this stage in the game, and they're just going to let that wave crash. High going to pick up a little bit of CS. Maybe then, when they don't have a giant minion wave as well, they could try for something aggressive. Moon would still have to be pretty sneaky, though.
Like welcome over NALCS2 as we start off our Flyquest C9 game. Only 6:47 in, have not missed too much. Besides a nice gank top onto Impact. And now the pressure is being delivered from Alltech and Lemonation in the bot lane. A little critters giving Smoothie hell here. They can still get a little bit of sustain. But as soon as that wave starts to crash back at C9, much more damage is delivered by Fly.
Yep, that's the charm of the Jhin Malzahar lane. Pre-6, if you land that Deadly Flourish, the Voidlings just beat someone to near death. And that's how Alltech and Lemonation have tried to keep Sneaky and Smoothie pushed in.
Good timing by Contracts, hovering the top side as Impact is in that same position he was for First Blood when he got ganked. He knows he can stay up here, seeing Contracts go through the jungle. Goes down the ultimate.
Uh-oh.
Ball shouldn't have too much trouble here. Tactical sweep missing as well. No follow-up. May have been Contracts coming up once the wave pushed in, but they weren't able to apply enough damage.
Yeah, and a pretty dangerous moment in time, actually, for Balls' Poppy with Contracts being in the jungle, but Flyquest looking to make a move elsewhere. Moon yet to be spotted.
Jensen's like, all right, there's a party mid lane.
Playing it easy.
Lemonation trying to cut him off. And a ward just below. Pretty much helping him out on the way up. Actually, no, never mind. That's Fly's ward, so I don't know what I'm talking about. So we'll see what Jensen can keep doing. Flash up, exhaust up, but we are seeing that Fly is trying to put pressure on him in the mid lane to relieve some for High.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. It's a release valve for High to be able to keep his farm up and hopefully get to the Hex Drinker and Serrated Dirk that he's trying to build up towards. Elimination also has been doing his fair share of roaming. Gonna win the pink ward battle there. Voidlings OP. Get him! Too slow! Ah!
The lifeguard's worst nightmare, minions. Little ones in the pool. 1-0, 9 minutes up on this game. And forward wards being pushed in by Fly. Got some over by Blue. It looks like we're going to have a little invade by Lemonation, and Moon's going to come over and help him out.
Yeah, and this is a response. Moon saw that his blue buff got taken away by Contract, so he's predicting that Contract's blue buff is also going to be up. like the move. I also like Moon's early Dark Seal here. I think it's an incredibly efficient item that Moon has been building early on almost all of his AP junglers, Nidalee and Evelynn. But they were mostly spotted out here, so Sneaky shouldn't get caught by this gank. If Elimination gets 6, however, it is a lot of burst potential. He's about 80% of the way to level 6 here.
Flashes up. We'll be able to get that in. A little bit of a move from Jensen to get some vision down, but also slightly avoiding. I think that control ward did see him. And he's looking to just clear some out. Moon can't really do too much to him at this point. Phoenix Codex, Tome, stacking that tier.
Yeah, but look at the mid lane control Jensen has there. He pushes off the enemy jungle, gets a shot into the control ward, and then still makes it back in the lane for the minion wave. So he's not killing high, but he's definitely applying a lot of pressure.
72 to 66, pretty even top lane. Balls decides to go
Right
hard
back.
on this one. His Impact came in with a few moves. Tactical sweep back. He gets the keeper's verdict, and it doesn't look like he's going to try to get out of this. Impact says, all right, let's fight. Throws down the ultimate. Balls tries to get the buckler out. Shield is up. There's the hit. The Q to the ground causes Impact to flash.
High's coming
and
over.
Here comes the rest of the cavalry.
Gotta land the shock blast.
Shock blast over to the right. This is going to be blind. Does he fire it far off? He just needs a little bit of vision, and a late ward does not allow him to find the target. Impact chooses correctly.
Woo! So that's the Poppy for you right there. Now, just 2 CS down to Impact, had gotten the help from the early gank, but plays that with the confidence to force Impact's flash backwards. Huge credit for Balls just sticking up in that lane.
Fly moving back, making sure the jungle's clear now, as they took a little bit of time to roam around in that. But staying proactive. These roams for high are giving Jensen quite a lead in the mid lane. Jensen's happy to have it. Backing up down to the bot lane, Altec 105 to 100, so quite even there as we've seen a few scuffles. Just not much come out of it as of yet. Moon so far, only that first blood top lane, and things have kind of quieted down.
And the tension definitely building in here. A lot of the ways people expect this matchup to go, especially when you're thinking preseason, is that C9's lanes would just be so much stronger than Flyquest that they're just going to get a massive advantage from there and then be able to kind of fight over every objective. We're seeing a much lesser extent of that. So Flyquest did get the first blood, but because of the farm advantages in the mid and the top lane, it is still an even gold game, but that creates a very contentious mid game because the gold is completely even and we're still yet to see major engagements.
And there's another phase of this game where both mid laners and callers on the team actually excel, and that's when you get to the fight phase. High's ability to macro the team around the map really has brought in victories to, at the time, Cloud9 and even this Flyquest squad. So there's many more phases of this game to be opened up here as we see the early game slightly, actually, in favor of no one. Very back and forth on what they're trying to achieve. Top lane sees Moon heading for Impact here. His flash and teleporter down, so if they get him to go down, that's a long walk back to top.
Yeah, and this is actually setting up to be a counter gank right here because Contracts is going to walk straight through. Who will reveal first in this one? Can they get Impact to engage through a minion wave? Because that would be ideal. Moon doesn't want to reveal himself yet. If Contracts could catch him in a dive, that would be massive. I saw him with the plant.
Yep.
They're just going.
Going back, puts down the ultimatum. They can't get actually in range of the turret for the ultimatum. Collateral damage misses for Contracts. High says, I'm going to the skies for this one. If he can get in range, changes forms for a bit of that movement speed, and he's going to Shock Blast finish this off with a few more attacks. And they may have waited, but it did seem to pay off. A 2-for-1 to start. And an arrow back to the bot lane as they almost lose Smoothie in a cross-map engagement.
Yeah, it looks like with the red buff and the challenging smite, Balls just got ticked down, but that was still advantage Flyquest because even though High is losing in the mid lane CS-wise, the roam up there made the dive safer. He saw exactly where Contracts was. He gave Flyquest confidence to go in early, and he ultimately secured the 2-for-1.
Just quick armor, looking for the Sunfire Cape right away so he can stay on top of Impact in these fights. There's TP actually to mid lane for Balls to start cleaning that up. He just used it, and we'll see this once again.
Yeah, Poppy already stacking a bunch of armor, so Balls okay tanking his turret. Impact, though, able to just delay. And then here, Balls taking the damage from the red buff and the minions just finishing him off right there.
Pin him up.
Contracts had no way out after this one, so Moon just tries to farm the minion wave and lets High secure the kill. Right.
At the same time, Bot was having a little back and forth. Ooh. Rangers damage onto Altec makes him think twice about fighting. Sneaky feels comfortable taking that lane over a bit in CS. So they have found themselves a bit of a lead.
Yeah, really great sidestep on the Deadly Flourish at the end of that too by Sneaky. So early Berserker's Greaves for that little bit of extra mobility paying off. Sidestepping those Deadly Flourishes makes a huge difference in the Jhin Malphite matchup.
Edge of Night finished up for High here. After all the trouble he was getting in one lane, he still finds something outside the lane as Jensen has been pushing him in, bullies him for the last Raptor, gets his tendies, and he's out.
Yeah, so the bot lane and mid lane pressure kind of pushes through to allow Contracts to pick up the first Infernal Drink. And what was not expected when Impact gets Camille, the first turret of the game, has gone to Flyquest, and Ball's in the top lane, so that will be the reason they have 1,000 gold lead.
Also pushing up second tier here on the top side, may draw C9 a little
wants
bit.
to dive.
Good flash by Impact, actually dodges it out. Ultimatum goes down, but Balls can tank for quite some time. And they're gonna make it out alive on this one. They are just attacking the Camille.
Oh, and then they also heavily delay recalls in the bottom side, and just that, they are heavily punishing the Camille. So Pastry Time got to talk to Reaper afterwards, and Reaper was very happy with getting Camille.
Felt
but
good.
when you're looking at Flyquest and they're throwing bans at Varus and Kha'Zix instead of the Camille and still not first picking it, that just means they have an answer. They have not necessarily had to show it yet because they've even banned Camille on blue side, and it's obviously a very risky thing to opt into, but early on here, Balls has been able to go straight toe-to-toe with Impact. Moon has been able to sneak up there and tilt the advantage in his favor over and over again, and now we have an 0-3 Impact on what many consider the most OP champion in the game right now. So real credit to Flyquest.
And what's kind of that effect now? What are his chances of still providing what the team needs under these circumstances for Impact?
And you actually think it's fairly low. Camille is one of those champions who, as a diver, needs to be able to go in with a relatively squishy build and just kill the other guy before he gets killed back. And when you're 0-3, that just becomes much, much harder to do.
Options falling off here for Cloud9. Jensen's still doing very well in mid, so they can get behind him for what could be some of these counter engages, or a nice arrow to zero somebody out. With the Edge of Nights coming out, those chances may even get smaller. Just some ward clearing, pushing up the vision here. As Cloud9 knows they may have people coming in behind them with the placement of the wards from Fly. Double teleport composition, we haven't really seen it being used yet.
Yeah, definitely not. High potentially taking that teleport just to keep the mid lane turret up in the early game. But now we're into that 1-3-1 usage of the double teleport, and it gets more effective when they have the split pusher of C9 in the hole so much like Impact, as the 0-3 yet to build up major items. So C9 pushing the two side waves, setting up shop mid, 1-3-1.
Interesting. Impact kind of just roaming around that mid lane. Oh, Lemonation found out. Oh, instantly dropped. We talked about somebody getting zeroed out from Jensen, and Lemonation finds out what that is all about. Looks like they will slow down though. Impact to clear top. That gotta feel good.
Scary Jensen right there. The unassisted kill in the river. Also had the QSS. Lemonation, you can see, had a channel of his ultimate right down there, so not sure if it cast right as he died. I believe that's what would have happened there as he ticks out to the poison. Just Jensen being ahead in the pressure game and getting the pick on Elimination while he's trying to ward.
High being able to play a bit horizontal to the lane there as you see his wards inside the jungle. Pushes Jensen off until he gets another minion wave.
Balls just wins this 1v1 now with Sunfire Cape, Ninja Tabi, and Dasheen, so Impact's got to run.
In
right
a pile of minions, still taking this fight. It doesn't even matter at this point. Contracts coming down towards the bot side. High might have find himself in a sticky situation.
It's pretty risky because Graves could be close, but it's whoever can pile in first.
Oh, hello.
Edge of Night is going to help.
Oh, 75% of his health coming out with 2 skills. Over the wall, High puts himself melee range into even more of a fight. And he may just come out alive from the burn. And he does.
And Riv High with the solo kill onto Jensen in the side wave. And that's huge for Flyquest because he can now push up There's 2 dead. Balls already has pressure on the other side. This could be either an inner turret, as there's no way C9 can defend everything at once, or the outer in the mid lane.
We wondered when it would happen. The Fly hung around in the bot lane for quite some time with enough vision. Solo kill onto Jensen, kill into Contracts to follow up, which means C9 is spread more thin to guard this. Let's see it again.
Yeah, High just hiding in the fog of war. Full damage shock blast while he had Edge of Night. Jensen exhaust late because he didn't expect the incoming burst due to vision. Then the rest of Flyquest is there to support High as Contracts tries to go in for the save. Just a flurry of moves by Flyquest to pull ahead.
Might have been down 30 CS in lane. High can find those advantages somewhere else. Top side and now bot. He's given himself a bit. Edge of Night, and now Youmuu's finished. Moon picking up red. Looks like they're trying to get some turrets down on the side of C9. They need a bit more map pressure because it's just going to be Fly being able to put so many deep wards in. They're going to have members coming around them.
And Riv, Flyquest is in such a powerful position right now because normally you could say it's the all physical damage solo lanes, just stack armor, but C9 doesn't have the champions, aside from a Taric who is with Mercury Treads in CC, that are capable of stacking armor. Sneaky caught out!
Well, if he has Merc Treads, let's go for the AD carry.
They're just going to keep going, maybe.
Sneaky out, Smoothie getting hit. Impact has to come back. That may give Balls a chance to get a tag onto the wall, but they break enough distance, and Flyquest using this advantage beautifully now. Last outer turret is down in the second tier, is not long for the Rift.
Yeah, the double Edge of Night as they're pushing the turret to ward off the counterattacks, landing the poke with a lethality onto the people who have yet to build armor since it is not in their build paths. Conveniently, the Infernal Drake spawns now as well. Flyquest taking a ton of control.
And they almost can't fight back from the side of Cloud9 as much as Impact wanted this Camille in the top lane. I feel like Flyquest said, that's what we want too, and then we're going to focus it so it can do nothing.
This is such an early performance from Flyquest in this best-of-3 series because this is a Cloud9 team who, while they have dropped 3 games throughout the regular season, have yet to drop a series, but down 6,000 gold, 21 minutes in. Advantages in the top lane for Flyquest into that Camille, and Moon on the Evelyn, which no one else is picking in the NALCS. 9 stacks on his Dark Seal and fully completed Gunblade. They're going to look to take over this map in the same way they got the first advantage.
And I feel like that's such a benefit when you speak about Moon. You have these guys that can pull out champions that a team doesn't, want to waste the band on. Is it a waste anymore? You take away his Evelyn, it might be, because then you get Kha'Zix, you get that Rengar if it's not on the ban list. So having those champions, especially with the way that Fly can flex, has done so much in Champion Select.
Yeah, absolutely. You think there's all these ways of attacking Flyquest in the ban phase, and this one, they threw their second phase of bans at Balls with a Maokai and a Rumble. He's completely held his own against Impact's Camille, playing the matchup the way he needs to, getting pushed in early and then setting up the ganks, preventing the hook shots elsewhere. Now just trying to take control of the jungle and ultimately set up some Baron plays.
Yeah, Contract's trying to clean up top or at least protect it. At this point, haven't seen too many engages from him. And you won't see another one as he's engaged on. Jensen comes in. That should be elimination going down again. Exhaust for Exhaust. A few more Twin Fangs to his backside, and he is out. Keeper's Verdict throws Taric out of the fight, but they have already thrown down the ultimatum. And they also get Balls.
Yeah, misfire there by Flyquest. High actually hit Krug.
Ooh, the sweep.
With his Q, and Impact closing that distance, trying to push this advantage with 2 dead.
Good Edge of Night by Altec, keeping himself up. Possible protection here, but there's just too much power.
Rune is behind them right now, hoping to maybe pick them off with scattered recalls as High is looking to push the top side. He doesn't want to fight all 5 of them, but boy, will he try and take a pick if he sees someone by themselves,
Moon.
like Sneak.
There he is. Moon just... Oh my God! Agony has embraced Sneaky. And Moon comes up huge with a flash attack. This completely has Cloud9 call the audible as they scatter to figure out what happened, and High can just sneak his way out.
That's the first of the Gunblade build with Runic Echoes on Evelyn. Moon knowing exactly what he is capable of, hiding behind the entire C9 team, and then killing Sneaky before Sneaky can even react.
That's pretty sneaky.
Oh my goodness, that makes up for Flyquest's mistake.
And he got it too. You're sitting there and you're like, somebody's got to peel off. I'm going to get, that's got to feel so good when it goes in your favor. You're just basically reading the other team and everything is going in your favor. We do have to remember that was off a bit of a fluke that Flyquest just had where Moon was able to set that up. So Cloud9 still able to bite back a bit, but Moon biting back harder.
Alt for the percent damage, and then all of the buttons after that instantly kill Sneaky.
Says, catch me outside.
He got him.
8-4. We're coming up on 25 minutes here, and Flyquest making a pretty big statement. As we said, they did just make an error, but I don't think that will slow them down at all from making a next move. The second tiers are gone, and now they can jockey for this Baron to work the other side of the map too.
Absolutely. They just need to make sure that they don't have any misfires. Cloud9 definitely capable of playing from behind. They just haven't been able to get the tempo lead on Flyquest ever since the very, very early game. Flyquest strike first with the first blood. They continue to make more of the plays. They're controlling the vision in this game very well, actually, even though they only have one upgraded sweeper. But they're constantly the ones catching C9, trying to catch up.
High again, yep, towards that bot lane. They're going to pull Impact over. He does have the Triforce finish, but Moon creeping in the wing. And we'll see if Impact actually tries to go for this fight, even to just push off High. You can see that Impact mentality of saying, okay, aggression, but these little things could really get them in trouble if they try for it. Flyquest seems to be ready for everything. And Jensen backs in mid on safety of a control ward here to set up more defense.
I mean, Moon building towards a Lich Bane as well, so he's really just trying to keep that one-shot build from the shadows.
They almost got him on it. Impact want to go in.
Yeah, Moon saved his ultimate right there, but this is a lot of damage. A third of the turret right there already taken down, and High respect flashing away from the Camille hookshot.
Already used his Edge of Night. It's a little too scary. And here now, High playing the bot side. Moon isn't towards Baron, so obviously just kind of warding up for position. Falls could get himself into trouble here. Nobody's going to jump on him too fast. Teleport to the top side for High. They're going to try to make something work here.
Moon's around the side. He's going to try and flank everyone with an Evelynn ult if they can get it.
Agony's Embrace would stop them immediately when they get to that base gate. The team may not
Moon.
be following enough. He just breaks the edge so he cannot be seen through that vision. So Moon is still actually openly walking in the mid lane here. No more knowledge to Cloud9.
Moon does have to watch out if he opens up onto Jensen, because Jensen has the QSS, which helps with the magic resistance, and also the ability to petrify Moon and return the kill, since Moon is going an incredibly squishy build.
Looks like they stop on that one. Nobody really liked their chances on the engage. That last hit, we saw High teleport up, but his flash is also blown, so those both summoners will be down for a while. He's probably going to have to stick with the team. Cloud9 loses maybe a little pressure on that split push for now, but C9 still cannot approach them in an uncontested Infernal. Over to Fly.
Yep, trying to maintain control of this game, but the plays have slowed down for Flyquest for sure, showing a lot of respect for Cloud9. Still that 6,000 gold lead looms large. C9 is going to have to find something creative to be able to get back, whether that's Jensen creating another play by catching Flyquest during warding, or if it's Sneaky catching someone out with that Ash Arrow, because while they do have Edge of Night, no QSSs, no cleanses, no Mikhails. Catch a squishy champion with the Ash Arrow, C9 should be able to pick up the kill.
As well, it's getting a little scarier as Impact continues to farm up. He's still going to be able to help zero somebody out or get that ultimate to prevent Flyquest from helping a member with the ultimatum. Keeping them locked down. So we've yet to see really Impact do just that on this game. He's been farming away in the side lanes. Does have his Tiamat in that Triforce. He's almost to his next core items. Iceborne now for balls as well, so it's going to be harder if Fly does get these engages for Cloud9 to even get away.
Yeah, I mean, Balls is at a point where he can still dual Impact quite easily, which is really hampering C9's abilities in this game, because ideally on the Camille, you're winning the 1v1s, you escape the 1v2s, and you can rotate faster to execute the squishies, but that's just not working. C9 going hard though.
Whoa,
on the High.
They said they wanted to try and get something here. High, and the end of the ultimatum is going to go down. Moon takes down Sneaky on the backside, though, so Cloud9 scatters, and this is where Fly flourishes. Smoothie gets hit. That's the last hit as the curtain is called. Contracts is a focus, but Jensen could go down first, and that's the pressure they want away. Impact very low. One more hit from Balls, but it's not a follow-up damage. Blast Cone saves Jensen. He's able to fire over the wall. Now Alltech, one last Fang, dies to the poison first. And what a scattered skirmish. 3 for 3 so far with just about...
They want more. He's going to keep going.
1,000 HP. Impact looking for the passive shield that just comes up. Trades a beautiful amount of health and keeps himself alive.
Woo! We got ourselves a game, Riv. That fight was such a hard commit by Cloud9. Terracult with Camille to get rid of the squishiness factor comes in at just the right time. They kill high, but then watch the back line. Goodbye, Sneaky, because the rest of C9 decided to move their protection forward instead of in the back. And then it is all about the chase. And watch this C9 kiting. Jensen looked like he was dead to rights here, but he pops his Seraph's Embrace. He's landing his skill shots for the enhanced move speed. He's positioning himself on the right side of the blast cone so he gets knocked back from that. And this whole time, he's putting the right amount of damage through. And at the end of it, they actually come out of this as a 3 for 3 despite being down 6,000 gold at the start of the fight.
Whole lot of shock blast damage coming from High. But as we said, if there was a factor, Jensen controlling the mid lane, causing High to have to go to side lanes to get those 2 kills he has. Jensen's able to get that CS lead and lane item lead, and now start to control it with kills as the right fight comes up for Cloud9. Still 53.5 to 43.4. Fly has the lead of turrets around the map, but that only means Cloud9 has some gold to work with if they're able to get the upper hand. Minion waves in favor, I'd say right now, of Fly before Cloud9 can really put some damage back on the turrets.
Yeah, and Sneaky being forced into an early GA on Ash, really diminishing any of his damage. They're going to be relying a lot on Contracts and Jensen, actually, since they do have the marksman out of the jungle. Sneaky mainly going to be used for his utility and the CDR he's getting from the Essence Reaver on his Ash arrows.
Moon 7-0-2, 9 out of the 11 kills he has participated in, and they're going to try to burn it.
Yeah, they have the controller down, so the Hawkshot will reveal them, though. C9, though, is going to be pretty late to this. Ash arrow goes in.
Arrow in, a hit Alltech on the backside. The team's not trying to get their contracts locked down by Nethergrasp. That's going to be Moon's Baron, but the resulting fight has to be in favor of Fly for this to work. Terracult stops any of the damage in the pit. C9 comes up big on that one. Now Camille, the impact follow onto Balls. Flyquest going for the Baron while already having a bit of the lead, have overextended themselves and given that to C9.
And these are actually really long death timers, Riv. 36 seconds on Moon, 30 on Alltech still, and a cannon minion in the way. Boy, C9's going to get a lot of objective out of this.
We've seen a lot of those calls from Flyquest be the right one. But as we said, as they said, we're C9 as much as we aren't C9. And obviously Jensen knew they were making that call, 12 to 11. Cloud9 comes up with Inhibitor and smart calls to pressure the Baron.
A few more seconds and they may have been able to end there if they would have decided to go for it. But watching this again, very risky haul by Flyquest, and they burned so much preventing the steal, but a Taric ultimate in the Baron pit, oh my goodness. Moon lands his ultimate, but it does nothing into the invulnerability. Flyquest can't fight back until it's too late. Impact had been able to jump over onto the Flyquest people who really wanted to kill and then get some revenge, slowly whittling down Balls' Poppy and getting the double kill.
Well, Impact getting himself back in this game for being smushed in lane, doing the most damage in that team fight.
He got unleashed on the back line. There was no one to really keep him in check, and if C9 is going to continue to be able to rely on Smoothie for that Taric ultimate and give Impact that free time to really just unleash his damage, not to mention Jensen, who has been stellar this entire game, aside from that one weird brush play where High caught him out in the side lanes. C9 on their way back here, closing that, what was 6,000 gold lead to 2,000. But Flyquest is not one to wait around.
Curtain call, Sneaky gets hit.
Taric ult.
Should be all right. Whoa, Impact's in. Bastion and the Taric ult is on. They keep going for the back. Whoa, what a huge hit coming in on a Cloud9. Beautiful job by Moon. Balls is in there as well to try and stop them from getting back. Lemon Nation gets hit up by Impact as he's looking again for that back line. A kill, and it is distracting Fly to have to look over to him. Impact all the way into the fight, and the team can't respond. Moon's going to be next. Contract with the flash out, but that leaves him out to dry. Double kill coming in for Contracts before he goes down valiantly, and it does leave the team. The re-engage, the counter Cassiopeia comp that C9 is trying to use does just that. One more Fang they put down high, and that's going to be the game.
It could, yeah, they're only 2,000 gold down, but they have supers in the mid lane already, Riv. What a comeback by C9 right there, clutching another team fight. And you're right, C9 is going to take this 1-0.
Absolutely striking for C9 to come back, knowing they were down, knowing they had to pull the trigger. Game 1, only 34 minutes in. Lemon Nation getting out to do what he can. They got the minions to get the kill. They also have the time to get another one onto Lemon. And they're going to take their time taking down this Nexus. Both teams are going to take their break as Cloud9 comes up with a win in Game 1.
And with all the hype coming into this series, Riv, that game definitely delivered. You saw on the player cams there, High trying to shake this one off because it is rare you see a High-led team, and specifically Flyquest this year, jump out to such a big lead, but then not be able to close. So huge credit to C9 for being able to fight back, team fight after team fight in that game, take down High, and take a 1-0 lead in the series.
6-1-8, Jensen. Flame Horizon in the mid lane on High by 20 CS. We did see him moving around. Fantastic. I should say by 80 CS after that. But
yeah, I mean, still
fantastic.
Huge CS lead the whole game. And really, Flyquest never quite got onto Jensen. They were killing Sneaky a lot, but they were never able to get onto Jensen. And eventually Sneaky got that GA at the end of the game. I want to see the damage graph in that game as well, because I feel like it'll have a few surprises in there. Moon with the 7-0 start couldn't quite make it into those final team fights. The Taric came up so huge in their ability to actually clutch out those team fights and fully dive in at the end of the game.
It worked well, because you don't expect Taric to be that kind of, I'm denying this assassination. It takes a little, and then it pops. But with that, there weren't many quick assassinations unless Moon had one target. So those targets live, then High is already to the skies. He's meleeed in the fight. Moon's in there, Poppy's in there, and the back line is saying, wow, well, mid-game did not go how we wanted it.
Great first game.
We're going now to throw it over to the Freak and the Analyst to break down that comeback win for Cloud9.
Thank you very much. We're here to break down the awesomeness that just occurred. That was a pretty compelling game, absolutely. Azael, welcome here to the Analyst desk.
Hey, bud.
Of course, yeah. You guys are, of course, of comparable skill. So let's talk about the fact that it's an earlier joke. You won't get it.
It's an insult.
It's okay. Anyway, sorry. The team comp, though, was kind of interesting. In the draft, Flyquest on the blue side gives away Camille. They want Jhin for it instead, and they have a plan, essentially.
And they actually had this plan earlier in the season when they played Echo Fox, the one series that they have lost so far. And Echo Fox flexed the Camille, so we didn't even get to see this plan come into effect. But here we see what it is. You have the Poppy and the Evelyn used to camp the Camille right away, and then in team fights you hopefully can lock it down or something like that. And I think it looked pretty good overall. I actually liked what they were doing. It would have been nicer if they could trade for a stronger OP pick, so the fact that they only got Jhin, I didn't really like. It would have been nice if they got the Varus or something like that. But
well, they banned out Varus.
Well,
right?
that's
so
that's what I'm saying. Is like my only problem with it is that would you really get that was OP? It's just the Jhin, which is a little bit of a problem for me.
Yeah, that's fair. And then, of course, the top lane camp did pay off a bit, though. We have a couple of clips of all the effort Moon put on the top side. And to be fair, that did work out quite well. This is the first blood to start it out.
Yeah, I mean, it did work out really well. But one thing that Mark was talking about throughout the game is the fact that Camille has so much room to kind of come back in a game. Even though he gives up first blood, even though he was continuously getting killed, they were roaming top nonstop and taking him down, Impact was still able to have a big effect in the game. And it does speak a little bit to his play, but also to the strength of the champion.
Right, and I mean, Balls, to his credit, also played the 1v1 fairly well throughout the entire game. This dive, a little misplayed by C9 in my opinion. You really, they are getting pressured in two lanes, but you have to cover one of the two, and just farming the Krugs nearby is not good enough. And then they continually punish Impact once he's behind.
And Impact honestly didn't look super comfortable on the champion, so the ultimate actually gives you a little kind of window of vulnerability where you can actually immune abilities. So a very telegraphed ability like the Poppy stun against the wall, an experienced Camille player should be able to ultimate that and not only avoid the stun, but like avoid
fizzle the entire ability,
too, right? So something like that makes a huge difference in dives like that. And Impact did look a bit uncomfortable, even avoiding the first blood. He probably should have flashed before he tried to use his E to fly out of there to make it more difficult for Balls to actually block that. Balls would have then had to really quickly flash and heroic presence to stop it. So there's things that you can see. Impact's not fully comfortable with the champion, and obviously Flyquest had a plan around this, but long run it didn't pay off.
And it wasn't just obviously Balls and Moon playing well. High as well made a lot of roams early. He made the first roam down to the bot side as well as the top side to get the kill, and then push down the first turret of the game. And so even though Jensen was winning laning phase, High was doing High things, just getting all over the map and impacting the rest of the game.
Yeah, and of course Jensen kind of stayed in lane. He got turret damage, he got a ton of farm, and ended up being one of the major carry forces, which leads us to our next replay, which is the fact that, you know, there have been a lot of interesting dynamic calls, but this was a bit of a flop by Flyquest.
And the big thing for me is that they had to blow so many resources denying the Baron steal attempt by contracts that they don't have enough left to fight. They used the Poppy ult and the Malzahar ult just on Graves alone, and then they're caught in the pit with no defensive things available.
And to me, a fight like this showcases so well the power of the offensive Taric ultimate, right? When you're using it reactively, oftentimes it doesn't actually land before that vulnerability comes out. But when you have a hyper carry like Cassiopeia, played by Jensen, who's very fed, you give him the immunity as he's going in aggressively, and he can go wild. People cannot return fire, and they're able to just devastate them in the Baron pit. And really, it was a super risky call.
And imagine if you had a 3-man Poppy ult and Balls just kicks them all right back out. Like, that's cute, the Tarics made them invincible, but 5v2 good off our Baron turf, and this is kind of the tournament that we had. So you can see the damage numbers here, right? Plenty coming out from Moon. Of course, High doing a ton as well, but no surprise, the biggest damage source from C9 was Jensen himself on that Cassiopeia.
And I'd say overall this game played out totally to the hype that we were giving to this series. We see a crazy draft come in from Flyquest. They executed extremely well. They're doing crazy different things, but then we see C9 is an extremely stable team. They take them on the jaw and they keep coming. Even though they lost a number of fights, they continue to look aggressively. We saw Impact, despite being shut down, going in first with Camille, and like you said, the offensive Taric ult's keeping him alive so he can go as deep as he needs to. So both teams played up to what we expected them to do.
Yeah, they definitely did. And even though that it's easy to point at the Baron and be like, oh God, why did you do that? That's why you lost. Flyquest does a lot of this stuff in their wins, and they're something like 11-3 match score. So it works for them a lot of the time. You can get bitten by the best teams when they have properly prepared for you. They're expecting it. They're reacting very quickly. You know, they have good vision, things like this. So it's harder to get away with these risky plays against the best teams. Had that paid off there, that likely would have been kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, allowing them to snowball this game to a victory. It backfires. They lose off it. But that's kind of the risky game you play when you play Flyquest style.
Yeah, I mean, these guys certainly happy to take risks. This one didn't pay off, but, you know, flip the coin came up tails. Unlucky there. Want to move us forward to our player of the game. Jensen, no surprise, I think, for us, but did want to pull up the graphic and give him the props as he was, you know, the player who was finally the carry in the fights, and he got some very massive multi-man ultis and just, you know, highest damage to the team. I think it's kind of apparent why it's hit.
Right, he had the most control in any of the lanes early on. He obviously had the CS lead over High, and then in the team fights, there were a number of times where he kited out and barely stayed alive over the course of the fight and stopped it from being a total whitewash on the side of Flyquest.
Yeah, especially when so many of the fights started with Sneaky dying into Moon.
Oh, Moon was brutal that game.
So much of the damage requirement is from him, and it was kind of hilarious seeing Sneaky build the GA third, which I think was actually pretty smart given how things were going. You know, Ma was not going to save him. He was getting overkilled by so much. So, you know, a lot of the onus was on Jensen to be able to get the damage done and to carry the team fights, and he was equal to the task. Looked great.
Yeah, and you can see why having mixed damage, we talked about it earlier on the analyst desk, mixed damage is really important so that the armor stacking one can still out of the mid laner. Auto mentioned to Smoothie, the ultis were good, but, you know, obviously Jensen was a bit more important. So now we're going to see if Flyquest can even up the score against Cloud9 when we return. So don't go anywhere. Bye, Ju.
Who has the highest power level on their team?
Me.
Me?
You?
Ah,
that makes sense. We have C9 vs C9, so same team.
Ah, that's true.
Oh, he skips the steps. That presence. Impact can't get himself flashed through the kickback as well, and just a few more hits. Impact is going to be going down by the buckler. No, the hit from Moon.
I saw him with the plant.
Yep.
They're just going.
Going back, puts down the ultimatum. They can't get actually in range of the turret for the ultimatum. Collateral damage misses for contracts.
Look, Mel. I'm look for B. I'm out of the fight.
Nice, good job.
Impact all the way into the fight, and the team can't respond. Moon's gonna be next. Contract with the flash out, but that leaves him out to dry. Double kill coming in for Contract before he goes down valiantly, and it does leave the team. The re-engage, the counter Cassiopeia comp that G9 is trying to use does just that. One more Fang they put down high, and that's gonna be the game. Welcome back, everyone. The teams are gearing up for round 2 of Cloud9 versus Flyquest. What a game one. A little bit of a back and forth. Flyquest getting a little too overzealous, but going for the attempts that, like Azale said, they usually try to go for. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, at one point, 29 minutes in, they were 6,500 gold up on C9, but C9 did mount that comeback, win multiple team fights in a row, and close out the game. And that's the type of game you really expected Flyquest to win if they were going to win games in this series. They make a bunch of rotations, they start getting some picks, and then they take the shot calling and just throw it for the win. But no, that's exactly not what happened. So it's going to be tough, I think, for Flyquest to bounce back after losing that lead.
Absolutely. It seemed like a lot of that also was based around having that Camille in the top lane, attacking that Camille early with Moon on Eve, and then Impact was still able to be Impact in the game.
Yeah. Tons of presence in the late game team fights, but they've swapped sides.
Yeah.
Blue side has been more advantaged in most of these pick and ban phases we have seen so far this year. and Camille is not going to be seen again.
No, she will not. Let's see if they actually even target Moon's pool. We said that Eve is very nice to have because you still have your top tier junglers. And the LeBlanc actually gets banned out from the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, and I like this by Cloud9 because a classic Flyquest move has been to throw out the LeBlanc and Rengar gauntlet and say that they will play either LeBlanc or Rengar and be fine with it because Hai's very comfortable playing against LeBlanc in lane, and Moon has been crushing people on Rengar. C9 says no thank you. They will just ban LeBlanc, which means if C9 didn't ban Rengar, C9 could have just got it for sure, or Flyquest.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying.
Got it.
They banned all three because it was forced.
And Sneaky pushed down to Ashe last game. Actually gets first priority this time as Varus is up. The Jhin still on the table, but they choose to have the piercing arrows to start things. Karma, first pick over for Elimination, but also not showing too much.
Yeah, 2 support bans thrown down very early. So Flyquest making sure to keep Lemon on a comforting champion. Also, we got to remember that the Kha'Zix is available, so that's kind of the thing that will automatically be traded back if C9 takes the Varus, and Team Comp's kind of yet to take shape, just trading power picks so far.
We do have the Graves on the side of Cloud9 still. We saw Contract playing that last game.
Yeah, we should note that Contracts is still undefeated on Kha'Zix, which is his most played champion. I believe he's 9-0, only increasing the need for Flyquest to pick it early, but the Graves has been pretty solid for him as well.
They have their support. 20 seconds for Cloud9 discussing, well, if they do this, we'll do the next as always.
Yeah, currently it is marksman jungle, or bot jungle top, versus support jungle, so immediately we're going to have a mismatch of sorts.
Exactly. Stay tops. Chance for a support pinch.
Yeah, on one side, and then also a AD pinch on the other. So expect the Jhin ban, since that's something that Flyquest actually first picked last game. They decided they would rather not get pinched in the top lane with Maokai being available.
Fresh ban out from the side of Flyquest. Don't want to deal with that in the bot lane. Interesting pick ban phase. Obviously, a little slower than usual for these teams. This is going to be the Syndra, so they actually start to focus high in the mid lane a little bit. LeBlanc and that Syndra.
Yeah, I mean, even though Flyquest has the counter pick, doesn't mean that Cloud9 doesn't just want to go with Cassiopeia again and then have Jensen go up against whatever Hai's best shot is. I had a pretty good, and that's why we see the Cassiopeia ban, actually, because they smell it in the water. They do not have to deal with Jensen's Cassio again.
There's his Jace.
A lot of mid lane bans.
Corki's still up, so we may actually see that go into the hands of Hai. And it's a pretty safe pick anyways.
And that's the question, do they want to save Corki pick now? Or do they want to save a counter pick against Jensen? It really depends on how much Hai wants to try and sneak in a Zed pick somewhere. We shall see. Jhin was unbanned as well. That is actually really surprising.
Forget the 80 carry wasn't in the first phase. So they do lock that in. Sneaky possibly the side of Jensen, but among other things, he's got a pretty big champion pool. Still looking for that support for Smoothie as well, so they may not try to show. Just too much.
Yeah, well, C9 is going to be forced to finish off their team composition here.
So they just go with Orianna. Ball delivery system quite a bit for the Shen if they really need pressure. Also for Contract's help. And Smoothie may just lock in the Nami.
Yeah, lots of healing and shielding on this team composition if they finish this off. Nami has been a somewhat seldom played, mainly by Adrian in the NALCS, but very successful champion when you get pushed down away from the Zyra Malzahar, just because she's actually the true support. The sustain is amazing with all the poke that's been happening right now, and the laning phase is incredibly strong between the Varus and Nami.
Good to have the Corki locked down. Good bit of mixed damage to follow up with the team here. And also a good bit of presence of Karma and Jhin behind that Corki.
Yeah, when you pick the Orianna, if you're C9, you're almost kind of forcing the Corki pick. You're not going to be picking Zed into the Ori, which I'm sure Hai wanted to have the option of doing at some point, but this is the smart pick.
It is fun. As Ori, you just don't move your ball though. Just gotta keep it right next to you.
And then you win.
And then you win. So heading into the next game, really I'm not sure what Flyquest would have even talked about previously. Both teams were quite even throughout that. Flyquest was able to grab a lot of the turrets in a barren attempt, fizzled out their win condition. Cloud9 was able to attack back on that. They know the mistake, it was a glaring one. I'm sure they're not gonna go right to making it again.
Yeah, and we got to see a little bit of craziness in Game 1, Champ. So, like, this is a little bit weird in the way the bans were placed, but as far as the team compositions that are being picked, incredibly standard from both teams. These are both team fighting compositions with a mild amount of split push because they have the Shen in there, but we could be in for quite a brawl if these teams are looking to go in.
Great camaraderie between these two teams. They obviously know it as well. It's quite a fun matchup, as stressful as it is for these players. We're going to be heading into Game 2. C9 win or Fly win, however you feel about this matchup. C9 putting up a pretty good fight for that victory now, and they are looking to pressure Flyquest out of this series here, as Flyquest need this win to stay alive. A lot of switching up going on throughout the compositions. We're going to get a whole new matchup coming in on this one.
Absolutely. The series we've been waiting the entire week for had such an explosive Game 1. Really now have to see if Flyquest can bounce back after losing that 6,000 gold lead 29 minutes into Game 1. C9 have been lethal in closing out series. Undefeated on the year. If Flyquest can't take him down, you really have to start asking who can stop Cloud9 this year, because they have looked good.
Gotta remember those single games, I believe, Dig, CLG as well, were able to put those single losses onto C9. After that, haven't really seen much of them. They are able to repair pretty much everything they found to be wrong here, and actually they haven't had to do much besides that. When you're winning, there isn't much to fix. You just keep working on what is going well. Impact getting some deep wards in that won't be denied for Fly this time, so everybody's gonna have a bit more information to start things off. I'm gonna try to pinch some damage onto Sneaky to start off, but I don't think they'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, what is this? What is this play? I just solo in the enemy jungle, walking into try-bot. She knew it was generally safe because the ward had been placed on the other side, but even if it works, what does success look like with that roam?
A little bit of HP, one auto. Feel good about yourself. Contracts, making sure there's gonna be no late hits for wards here coming in.
Nice little start here with the sapling stack and the level 1 W for Moon, hoping to be able to take out the Raptors very quickly. Let's watch how this one works. Saplings go off, presses W, quickly clearing the little Raptors, and that's a nice ability to start Raptors. You always want to start this camp because of the enhanced XP if it doesn't beat you to death. So good thing the Pulse was able to give him the healthy pull with the saplings.
Right to red, they know he's there. Don't really need to get a ping on it. It will start off. Impact actually just getting to lane, so Fly should know that topside start by contracts. Nothing too new, along with the ward. Good bounce. Long, you try to get away. Sometimes it's the inevitable bounce that already started. And a nice spot for Sneaky here in the team to keep farming up. The wave should kind of stick towards their side.
Yeah, and it's pretty tricky up against Nami as Karma here, because Karma's mainly poke-based here, and Nami can sustain through a lot of this poke. Back when Karma was the meta champion being picked, people thought the all-in potential of the Karma was high enough that you could still win the sustained matchups. And with the ADs going longsword, potentially, if you're able to go all-in, you would have a higher chance of bursting out the AD, but it's pretty unlikely, and I still think it's a pretty favored lane for the Nami.
Taking some nice minion damage, or I should say, giving some nice minion damage over to Balls in the top lane. Impact has that wave again right where he wants it. C9 is going to farm this one out slow to start. Pretty even all around. No interference yet from the junglers. We are going to have quickly Pastry on the sideline. Got to chat with Think Card after their pick and ban.
Thank you very much. This time I caught up with ThinkCard over on the Flyquest side. He said in general he does like drafting against Reapid. Reapid's very smart and it's a lot of fun because they know each other quite well. He said game one, he thought the draft went well, but obviously the game itself could have gone a little bit better. This game, they're pretty happy with their draft overall and think they're confident winning this game and then taking the series. And lastly, I asked in general their draft style, and he said they like to draft pretty aggressively and bring playmaking chance, and that does show in the kind of play that they've shown us so far. So great to hear from ThinkCard, but back to you guys for the game.
All right, thank you very much, Pastry. And they do have some playmaking potential, but it's a lot of it in the top lane Maokai as far as actual initiation. He can be sped up by the Karma, but that's it as far as the lockdown component goes.
Nice job getting the tick on of Thunderlords. Jensen getting low on mana here, using that command move dissonance really drains the bar. Flash, flash, end of the line just behind High. Smoke Grenade's gonna slow him down. The pull up from Altec is here. It's gonna be a summoner heal in the last second. Gets the save on him. Contracts could be locked up here. They need to keep running and end of the line against the wall. Contracts knows the power of this champion. Level 4 as he moves forward. Lemon Nation finally just getting out of the skirmish in lane to help the team, and 4 summoners blown in defense for Flyquest to get out of that.
Yeah,
5.
it also hurts Altec's bottom lane substantially. High getting himself into a bit of a mess there, going aggressive onto Jensen, and just the right timing for Contracts, who's able to get the first blood that Moon got in the first game. Watching this one more time, you know, High has the exhaust, so he wants to do an all-in, but he's so low, is able to flash, but at this point, the only way he escapes is if he gets the heal, and then also if Altec can land this deadly flourish route. So he hits him, but the sidestep by Contracts is what allows him to then be able to get the dash forward onto High before he can get to the blast cone. And once he's got that, he's still a level 4 Graves with red buff, so now Altec has to run too.
Starting things off right, coming out with momentum in game 1 and being able to apply it right away. Going back, getting himself built up on some long swords. It'll be a nice buy for Contracts as he gets himself back into this game. First kill on the board there now, this time going in favor of C9. We did see that happening to Impact last game, so things are already off on a better foot here.
Yeah, and speaking of Impact, he's gone with the grasp on Shen, and he's actually, as we saw earlier, kind of winning that 1v1 with Balls, who's going the double Doran's build. Meanwhile, Impact is yet to shop, and kind of a perfect world on Shen if you get to level 6 without having to back, because that just means you have so much of your global presence available, and you can get a very clean buying option in. With Shen also having teleport being up, which he has done.
Just out of range of Gatling. Good thought by High here to pressure the approaching minion farm for Jensen. Back and forth in the bot lane. Tier being stacked up here by Sneaky. As much as he'd love to get into a fight, they're holding off for the moment. Very even in levels though, so I have to see if anything comes from this level 6 in the bot lane. Just over 1,000 gold, or near 1,000 gold, I should say, for Cloud9 to start things off.
Yeah, still relatively even lanes when they push back and forth, and we're hoping for some more aggression. While the chase was happening in the bottom lane, Moon and Jensen actually traded flashes. So that mid lane is currently completely void of summoner spells, which would leave them pretty prime for top lane roams, since they both have flash up in the top lane. It's just a matter of trying to go for the play and seeing if they're willing to take the risk.
Doesn't look like many more risks will be taken. Everybody's going about their own farming, making sure that nothing really puts them back here in the laning phase. It's going to be another close one as we move out into this game. Cloud Drake is the first one that's up. No attention being given to that here. Exhaust coming back up for High in the mid lane. Let me try to bait something in here. Nope. Contracts up to the top side. They haven't had too much forward vision either, so he's kind of walking in blind here saying, I need to get information. May not have actually seen that graphic either, red buff dying, so he says Moon's pretty far away. Now he sees him. Trying to get a first little back and forth for a while here.
Yeah, a lot of respect being given to the Orianna, but now they go for Contracts. Goodbye!
And through the stand united.
Wow, that is the early game burst of the Kazakhs, who I believe has evolved the Q. Moon waits until he can get the isolation onto Contracts and plays it patiently enough to make that work. That is huge, being able to get the Shen ultimate as well.
We feel like it would have been in their favor. Jensen had the lane push, but High still had the movement just up the other side of the Raptor Den. So they answer back with a kill, even things out even more, but this now gives Moon a little bit of time to get inside the jungle of C9.
Yeah, and this is huge because they kind of want to double up on this. High has package, so I wouldn't be too surprised if Moon kind of sticks around and waits for a play as Contracts goes to check this. Ooh, smart ward by Contracts right there before he's face checking. Got to be very careful.
Been in great positioning as well for even a return fight. You have High with that mid lane pushed up, so Contracts looks, or Moon, I should say, looks like he's going to actually stay here for a little bit of fun, knowing he can have High quickly.
Yeah, well, when you have the package in the mid lane, oftentimes you're either in the mid lane looking for ganks in the jungle, or you run into the jungle and have the ability to run out if things go awry. They might actually be trying to prep a dive, but Contract's very smart about where he's staying positioned. Impact doesn't have any way of getting down here. Balls would. They could actually make the force.
Exactly. Both of his ult and teleport are down. That's going to be the hit onto Contracts. We have lost Smoothie more in the fight. Sneaky very low. Grenade bouncing over. Smoothie low as well. Throws the tidal wave out to deny Elimination and Altec. But there's just too many members, and Fly moved too early.
Nice play there by Flyquest, actually getting the global advantage on the Shen and then utilizing the package on first base. That's actually relatively rare for Corkies to be able to pull that off the right way. Flyquest, despite giving up first blood, bounced right back in a big way.
Looks like Solo. Nope. High's going to stay around. So they share it. And we'll see this one more time. Moon was here for quite some time, and they still said, we have priority over this entire bot with the TP and Stand United down.
Yeah, Contracts does get off the full burst onto Moon, which is the main reason they're able to even trade a kill, and then they're bouncing turret aggro from High as they kill Smoothie onto Lemonation, who gets caught by the bubble, but just a fraction of a foot that he was able to get outside of turret range drops the aggro from him. Allows them to gain that 1,500 gold lead.
Be a swap of the lane as we see Altec taking presence now towards the top side. Youmuu's finish for him as he speeds his way up there, trying to gain all of that distance that he can as fast as possible. So he'll clear out 76 to 93. Sneaky was clearing waves just against Altec as he was hiding under the turret, so it's been difficult for them. They've also been pulled out of lane a few times. We saw High running around. Altec went down in that situation as well very early in the bottom of the river, so as much as Fly is doing now, very nice as early game was a little scrambled for them.
Yeah, and they're really just trying to work those outer turrets down. They swap back and then immediately go for Drake. This is actually just a ridiculous shot call. They called Altec to go up, which feints the lane swap, and then Sneaky and Smoothie run out bottom to match. Meanwhile, that actually allows Flyquest to take the Cloud Drake, because normally when you send your dual lane there, you're conceding the Drake, which is what C9 expect to happen. Now they go for Jensen.
Valkyrie forward. There is a ward on the other side, so they have the knowledge Cloud9 is gathering together. But they don't try to, they don't stop, I should say. They keep trying. Jensen did have to blow his ghost there. Still have safety of Flash, and Impact is back up with Stand United and Teleport. But they go right to the Stand United and Teleport and try to take it out home.
Flash.
There it is, finalizing the kill. So Impact may just have to teleport back out if he needs to help the team. Cloud9 now trying to answer in the top lane, but Altec's already there. The movements here from Flyquest, putting them ahead.
Yeah, pretty straightforward move, and they're also ahead of the play. They think, okay, we just sent our jungler bot, where would Contracts be? Let's actually catch him in the jungle and collapse on that.
Don't know if he can dodge those ones. Tidal wave coming in from Smoothie. High, very low on mana, so they should be able to waltz out of this one. Turnaround, calling the flash from Smoothie. That's 2 flashes for C9 blown in this fight. Shockwave hit, just missing, but they did have to get High's flash. Everybody is using summoner spells on this one, and it looks like they back off for the time being. A lot of skirmishes now starting off.
Yeah, a pretty bold attempt there actually by High to come up through the river, since they had initially invested the jungler bottom lane, so normally you're just trying to stop the dive from happening on the other side. That was kind of a moment where Fly was playing defense, so to speak, but they tried to make an offensive play, and it was a 0 for 0, but it still stopped C9's offensive.
Should be quite easy for them to just clear this. Basically put the bottom lane top now, as the fight did not result in one of these turrets dropping. And Fly is going to have an easy time in the bot lane. The minions are pushing against the turret. It may just help Impact soak these up, but right now they can just wait for C9 to try and make a move. trying to be a pest. As Jensen and High kind of go at it in the mid lane, trying to hit each other up during this farming session. Actually haven't gotten too much action between the junglers to mid, so that's good. That's what we kind of asked for, right? But then High and Jensen aren't fighting, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, High's just fighting other people. He's roaming all the time.
He really has, though. Everything we've seen High do, even on Jace last game, was constructed out of lane. The first 2 kills he got. As Jensen continues to farm it out. That much closer, though, however, 119 to 112. As High returns with another package and possibly another chance for Flyquest to push into the lead.
And I really have to shout out Balls as well this series. He has been matching Impact and actually outplaying him in this game, just up against the grasp with the Courage of the Colossus, some more teamfighting mastery, beating him to the roams, and also Flyquest able to keep these outer turrets alive. And we got to see what High wants to do with that package. He always is looking to make a play, but the map isn't necessarily in a spot for it. He might try in the mid lane here.
One more step up, it would have been it. That flash is down, and they would have been able to quickly push Jensen a bit. Stand United is there. We can still see Impact trying to get his way up to a fight. Now 15 minutes in. Looks like we're going to get some wards up here on the top side, and they may just push each other into an engage.
Well, he wants it, but there's so many people on C9 here. Flyquest also have to account for the Stand United now. Since the last time they made a big play, they had forced it to be on cooldown. Sneaky chipping away at that top turret.
Be the first one they're able to open up, that first blood turret going over to Flyquest, and they've been able to keep these rotations up. Minions are just the only thing crashing into these turrets for Fly. Sneak is not able to put too many autos on here. Contract is going to be coming up for safety in the top lane. There it is. It's been waiting for the roam. These wards getting placed in, giving the advantage of HP. Really what it's coming down. They see the engage in mid, say, little pressure relieved in the top side for C9. We can push to the turret. They take advantage of that right away.
Yeah, Moon, always trying to be in the right place at the right time. I appreciate and applaud Cloud9 going top lane, but now they're going to try and collapse down this mid lane. Altec still in the top.
Turn and instantly try to pop contracts. Jensen has just about the same amount of HP, and that Stand United was used by Impact.
The turret getting pretty low. You'd wonder if Flyquest would want to continue to siege, but with all ultimates being up on the duo lane of C9, it'd be a tricky dive. Oh, Altec, who is up in the top lane, was just trying to shove it out. He's late on the retreat.
Flash for flash. A little added damage to get out. Well, Cloud9, obviously with a bit of room in that Game 1 win, but are not really leaving anything to chance here in Game 2. Playing very smart, pulling out before they get to any kind of overextensions here in their engages. There you see it was a flash, but they did not try to just chase him down lane. Waves are pretty much even. Nobody really has any advantage to push a turret just yet. Cloud9 finding their first one in the top lane, so we'll have to see who has the better movement here coming out of it. It's just ward wars right now.
It really is, and you're kind of waiting for the seemingly inevitable teamfight phase that these guys both have picked incredibly stylistically similar compositions. Big tank top, physical damage, warrior, jungle, magic damage dealing mid lane. They got the utility, long range poking ADs, and the supportive supports down the line. Their styles are the same, and the game is still pretty close, so it's going to be about execution and who can find the right initiations.
Looks like High having a better of a laning phase versus Jensen, as we'd obviously keep an eye on that lane. Jensen saying it would be embarrassing, actually, if we were to lose to Flyquest. I'm the guy that replaced High. I should be able to take him down.
And in that first game, Jensen getting the player of the game was crushing. He wasn't necessarily crushing High, as High was all over the map, but when it really came down to those team fights, it was Smoothie and Jensen carrying through a lot of it. This game, High once again kind of winning the roaming game, but Jensen still has the rest of the game to play through, and the shockwaves could very well be massive turning points, as Corki and Jin are both prime targets for that spell.
We haven't even seen chances really for High to put on some of this poke damage. Altec even opening up with a curtain call. He's been top wave clearing. The options that we've seen them use previously kind of stalled out here due to the fact that they're trying to get some lane control down. I think they'll put a little pressure on mid. They've done a good job at warding the bot side. May get a few up to the top right, or actually top left. The way they're running down the lane, it'd be their top right. Confusing, but they will go into that side of the jungle and start putting vision down.
Yeah, I feel like the map is just getting a little bit more and more open. They're kind of trading objectives here as Sneaky is often in the side lane pushing up, and this gives opportunity for Flyquest to roam the jungle, scout with the plant. Potentially 2 turrets going down here, one on each side.
The push is coming in slow from the bot lane, but I think you are right. Let's see, once they actually see him bot lane, how do they react? They can go right through the jungle here and start to grab a little pressure. Yeah, right onto blue. They ping. Contracts may just be pushed off here.
Yeah, Impact showing down in the lane right there, as well as Contracts being in the jungle instead of down on the other side.
Oh, never mind.
He secures his blue, but they're actually unable to trade turrets. So overall, from a map perspective, it's still advantage Flyquest.
Outer 3 down, package in, exhaust immediately onto Sneaky, and this is what we were just asking for, the curtain call, the dive in, the pressure plays, and the top turret goes down. They have the outer 3 now, and they know they can work a little bit inside C9's jungle with safety.
Yeah, big credit to Moon. They're flashing out of Jensen's Shockwave as the rest of Flyquest collapse down onto Sneaky there. And how much do they want to force off of that? It's 19 minutes, 45 seconds into the game. But with the Shockwave and the Shen ultimate burned down, they have the ability to get a lot of wards. Would they?
That must mean it's time for Baron.
It's up in 10 seconds.
It's definitely time for the bait.
Here it comes. You want to bait it early, but...
There's a scrying orb early on Sneaky. Get that out.
He still has the ability, but Sneaky's in base, so he can't quite get there.
Monster Shield. Smoothie would be the target here. Contracts able to quick draw the distance. I feel like that's, again, one of those, we're C9, but we're not C9.
Yeah.
Jensen and the team knew that was coming as well. Here's this again.
Yeah, exhaust Sneaky, he absorbs the ultimate, then they land enough Jin bullets onto Sneaky that Impact and Moon can fly in for the execute. And Balls doesn't care if he gets hit by the Shockwave because he's a giant tank. Moon preventing Jensen from being able to get any type of counter kill with the flash.
Yeah, Impact now pushing up in the bottom, but you can see how they're trying to do this. He put 2 control wards in, doesn't realize if anybody's going to be coming through the jungle, which means they're trying to pressure these down, get there as soon as the waves. They don't really have time to get onto the side of Flyquest map, get that safety down. Has to push off, doesn't know what else is behind Fly. Balls here, and he feels like it's going to be a little bit of pressure as Balls walks past the turret. Flashes well for Impact. Still has teleport, stand united. Not too much off of him.
Yeah, and the rest of Flyquest is trying to set up a split push right now, so Jin Ultimate actually just used to hold off the wave. C9's going to try and force this one down. Nice job of Contracts actually tanking those Jin bullets.
C9 move out. It took him a while to get that one in the mid lane. They finally actually just find it because at this point, Fly is backing up core items, pushing the lanes, and that's going to give C9 the ability to take down mid. It's what they do with it next. We saw Flyquest instantly using that package to get into the jungle and under the skin of Cloud9. Now as they repair some of the side lanes, see if they can move their wards forward.
Now we definitely need to keep paying attention to the side waves between these two teams, because as teams in the top of the standings, they have really good abilities to apply map pressure, and so much of that is about just pushing the side waves, waiting until someone is going to clear a wave, and then forcing the team fight, because you don't want to just match 5v5 and brawl into each other over and over again. You want to be able to get the numbers advantage, and that's what this is all about. You can see High constantly in the side lanes, pulling Jensen away. Then when High gets a package, Flyquest goes in for the fight. And C9 need to find their windows to match that, because Flyquest is essentially 2 out of 3 on packages into successful fights, and C9 haven't been able to set up any of those plays with what could be a Shen ultimate or a flank. They're just using those reactively.
Speaking of the Shen, we think of that lane as Impact's lane usually, and again in this matchup versus Balls, you figured it would have gone to Impact because of the small things he does to win little minion advantages, lane advantages that put him in the right spot for a gank on Balls. But he seemed to avoid all of that in the top lane, really helping Fly on the whole map. 205 to 191 in that lane. They've also been giving Impact a bit of trouble from the Camille game to this Shen game. So it's been a priority of Fly. Moon Goes in with the Edge of Night on to keep himself safe. Stand United immediately.
Attempt to turn.
Fast fingers on impact. Can he get a good taunt onto somebody? Don't know if they want it right away. And they back off on this one.
Yeah, Impact had to burn his flash defensively due to the gank about 2.5 minutes ago. And then Flyquest was able to sidestep that taunt and avoid the turnaround. So Shen ultimate down. Pretty much just Kha'Zix's ultimate down once again.
They get to relieve that lane pressure as well. Ball still pushing in the bot side. He may actually be able to get an engage here as well. Ooh. Nice hit on the Scryer's Bloom to find him out on the bot side. Smart move by Contracts inside the jungle there. And they're just going to walk out of this curtain call. Balls are still hanging out in the jungle.
Yeah, with the Cloud Drake up, Flyquest might be waiting for C9 to funnel in balls way around the back. Could this be it?
They don't know where he went. They saw him a second ago. He's on to Sneaky. Shots come through, but they can't seem to get any more follow-up damage. Dragon was still being taken. Moon waiting to get over the wall. He finds Jensen now on the backside. Sneaky's down, and they are flying through. The exhausts are out, so here comes the damage. Impact is the next focus. He's going to go down. Deadly Flourish just misses Smoothie, and bleeding and limping away from this fight is C9 with 3 down.
Boy, Flyquest is laser focused onto Sneaky, burning the flash with the curtain call, then burning more flashes to get back on with the twisted advance, and that 3 for 0 is going to transition straight into a Flyquest Baron.
They only had to wait 4.5 minutes, chat.
They keep pulling off, and the package is going to be up with the Baron buff at some point during the sync, so really big move there by Flyquest. They're up 6,000 gold at 29 minutes in game 1. Now with the Baron, they're up 6,000 gold at 25 minutes, so progress.
See if they lose this. We'll see this one more time, as it was quite a long engage, thinking this would just be fizzle out.
But then, as we mentioned, being able to reset that wave advantage, having balls sneak through the jungle, getting this flank position, baiting with the Cloud Drake, and then they go immediately on to Sneaky. And Jensen pushed off the side, kind of worried about Moon. No one on Flyquest is fully committing, so Jensen can't get in for a big shockwave. Notice how the fight is basically over by the time Jensen has time to position. Then he eats the exhaust, so he only gets one onto High and Altec while they're shielded by Karma. Meanwhile, the rest of Flyquest is just running through the C9 backline.
Shake it out.
Just that after every
Keep it going. Yeah, he does. Woo.
Yeah, that was a steamrolling fight. They just got straight on to Cloud9, and Cloud9 wasn't able to fight back, constantly in defense mode. There's the package onto a Shen. Okay.
Keeping him out. Missed a few shots.
Going for something.
Definitely makes it harder for Impact to feel good about his split push if that's the kind of damage that's coming in. And Flyquest turned up the heat now. 9-2, 26 minutes in. Baron being used by Balls, who has controlled his lane now on the bot side, and he is having a field day here. 2-0-2 on this Maokai pick.
And just once again, 1-3-1. They're actually incredibly spread out right now against Cloud9, but Cloud9 unable to find a strong initiation on one side. That's the way you have to break this up as against an enemy team with Baron that's spreading you out this much. But Balls with teleport. High as well, very confident with his positioning, and Flyquest chipping away at these outer turrets.
Chain of Corruption, Shockwave could really put Flyquest in a bad position. Edge of Knights are down, so they have to be careful of how fast they approach this, but I guess Balls kind of takes away that danger when he just walks right in front of the entire C9 team, minus Jensen trying to fend off High. They're starting to spread C9 thin here. They could get that bottom wave coming in a little bit quicker, but they're taking their time, and they have time to take.
Oh, they're going to try and get High.
Shen ulti coming in. No summoners there. What's the rest of the team going to do in mid lane? They actually go for the pressure. The wave was just pushed off mid, so C9 had to make that snap judgment, and middle inhib hardly gets any damage on that turret.
Yeah, and it was the right time to go aggressive by C9. They're finally landing an aggressive play with the Shen ultimate, and Flyquest does still get a decent chunk out of that Baron. They were able to take out all of the middle tier turrets for C9. Unable to break the base as of yet, but still walk away with this Baron and a healthy gold advantage.
Litter of wards there on the bot side for Fly. I should say the bottom of top. Have a bit of vision now being cleared out by C9. They have some work to do before they can really get themselves back in these fights. As said, we're looking for that shockwave from the side of Fly. Keeping eyes on Moon in these engages. Well, have to make sure we figure out when High gets the package, because it has been straight in each time he has. We'll keep an eye on that as well.
Absolutely, and Flyquest doesn't want to misstep here. They were similarly advantaged in game 1, but C9 was able to come back in big team fights. This game, though, Jensen not nearly as involved as he was on that Cassiopeia, and Flyquest with a much more secure team fighting as far as protecting very valuable members. But that being said, though, High has no magic resist in his build and could still fall victim to a nicely timed shockwave if Jensen can somehow surprise him.
Next Drake is Infernal, 3 already in favor of Fly. Kind of tells you how much control they've had over the majority of this map. Really easy going when they've had to contest the Dragons, only finding 1 or 2 members, but having the vision to make sure everything's done safe. Now they move their vision to the bot side of the map, giving Jensen a little trouble in the mid lane as they're going to put pressure on the bottom turret.
Yeah, Impact trying to get outside turrets down with no Baron. They're able to clear the wave away, and it actually puts a bit of time pressure on Flyquest. Maybe C9 can sneak an outer turret here because Impact was not forced to ult back. A little slow on the turret, though, let me say.
He's trying. A for effort. He'll be back. Actually, you might find Altec in a second.
What?
The wall.
Got him. Oh, no. No. He's already used Deadly Flourish. Cooldown not coming up yet.
It's only so much you can do.
Smart to use the teleport. Save the stand United because he's going to want that shield.
See what core items are finished here. Ballsy getting even bigger. The GA now up for him. He's even able to stack more items in. However, no control ward, so his wards may dwindle out as he goes to the side lane, scrying or being picked up there. You're going to see Fly controlling dragons, controlling objectives. Baron in a mid, and 30 is going to kind of match with this Infernal Drake. So one big fight could really mean a lot for either team here, and we've seen this is when Cloud9 can find their way back in.
Yeah, and it's just a pretty daunting task in this game because it is that 8,000 gold lead, 3 Drakes, GA completed for balls on the tank. Redemption and everything Lemon Nation would want. Not to mention Flyquest have been the ones to find the right team fights, but because it's been so long since that last fight, 19 of the game's 20 summoner spells are up for this next fight, and it
makes me a little sad.
Definitely going to be a big one.
Definitely less clapping of fools within this game, as was promised.
Yeah, we did a bunch of it last game.
Yeah, I know. You kind of make up for it. Pressure from High. Impact knows the damage he can take and is just really trying to get what other vision is behind High, because they are getting strangled out right now. Everything's going to happen from the front side of the base. Smoothie could have a nice tidal wave to really lock up a shockwave. It's all easier said than done. It's like Moon may just get himself a Infernal Drake by himself here. High could help.
Yeah.
Ooh. Good timing by C9. We might have to make Fly think twice.
Well, they're definitely just going to use this time to try and get a little bit of vision around Baron. It's pretty unrealistic to be able to actually contest the Infernal Drake, but they're at least hoping they'd be able to get something in a Baron. Even then, I wouldn't be completely shocked if C9 even gave up the Baron, but with vision, at least that gives them the chance of getting a pick if Flyquest is trying to do something cute with Baron.
They do have pretty decent wave clear. Unfortunately, taking a bit of poke from Altec and High, but Sneaky can shred down these waves along with contracts if they're in the right spot. You can see they can't get too close to the turret after just a few abilities.
I actually really like the Knight's Vow out of Balls' Maokai. I think it's one of the best late-game tank items for Maokai since he's healing so much already. Pairing that with someone like Corki, since you do heal for the damage that the Corki does, makes him actually a little bit more unkillable for a very low cost. Here we go with Baron.
Oh, Contract's trying to do anything. And that combination of long-range attacks, High, Altec, and Lemon Nation coming up with a kill. No contest for this Baron, and Flyquest looking much more sturdy here in game 2.
Yeah, a very inelegant Baron steal attempt by Contracts right there as he gets destroyed.
You gotta do what you can, right?
No one on his team was even close, but this actually sets up a really powerful push for Flyquest because they know Contracts is down for another 25 seconds, and they're gonna get these Baron-empowered minion waves to the inhibitors before Contracts is back.
Impact pushing bot with all his life. He's gonna have to come back real soon because they're about to lose the base. Fly knocking on the front door, 33 minutes in. They're gonna look for the first inhibitor down on this match. It looks like They are very close to bringing it to a game 3. We saw how zany game 1 got, so you can't really seal anything right now. It'd have to be a big mess up, though, from Fly as they are closing down on the second inhibitor. The curtain call is opened up. Cloud9 can just sit back and watch the show as their inhibitor goes down. Contracts trying to thread in a few shots, but still just to reload, back up and watch it go down.
Yeah, I mean, even though I thought they were just going to give over the Baron, that was one of the worst ways in which C9 could give over the Baron, while losing their jungler, who's also one of their best forms of physical damage wave clear against very hard to clear Baron minions. So they give up 2 inhibitors when they could have at least had a little bit of a contest here. And now Flyquest, with tons of time left on their Baron buff, a fresh shot right in there, finishing the Gunblade onto the Corki and even getting a rapid fire cannon onto the Jhin, just more powerful for this next push, which only needs to take down 1 more inhibitor before they get all 3.
Much more methodical coming into this game. And it does not seem like C9 has found a way to stop it. Flyquest ready to siege at the next turret. If the minions aren't going to do the damage for him, it'll be high and all tech with balls ready to dive straight under. Moon following close in tail. Edge of Night knocked off Contracts. Almost a deadly flourish that could have turned this fight around. A little harder to clear these waves, but they still have the damage. Top's going to be pushing with super minions soon. They're just buying themselves time until they can make the final push.
Yeah, and they do actually just have to buy a little bit of time. They killed those inhibitors so quickly and immediately went down for this push that it's ideal for them to crash in time. But the poke is just so huge onto C9 right now. It's pretty difficult for C9 to pull anything off here. You want them to try with a Varus ultimate or a Shockwave somewhere, but even now, High's just getting him low, and the curtain call is going to push him back once again.
He's just holding it. He's like, I will extend this ult as long as I can to deter you from guarding it. Moon over the wall, that's the damage on the turret that's required. And here come the cavalry super minions in the top, in the mid lane. All 5 members of Flyquest standing tall with full HP as they enter onto the Nexus turret. Sneaky, half HP impact, blocking the deadly flourish. And they're able to thread in the auto attacks well, keeping C9 at bay, 5 strong in their own base.
And a pretty rough ending here for C9 is finally they try and go in for a fight.
Impact going for broke. They roll the dice. Moon's the target. Exhaust down on him and they get him. Flies the next one. Impact with a second taunt. True to his target. Balls in the front with slicing, or with vengeful maelstrom, I should say. Contracts getting exhausted. Lemonation focus his resolve and locks down Contracts. Fly, Balls taking on 3 full members of C9 as the rest of the team focuses the Nexus, and he's still got the GA to go through. They're going to be on the Nexus. High raises his arms in victory. We're going to a game 3 from Flyquest and Cloud9.
And that game was quite one-sided in the favor of Flyquest. C9, after falling behind a bit in the mid-game, really unable to mount any type of answer to Flyquest, who just rotated around, objective by objective, 4 Elemental Drakes, a Baron, the full round of inhibitors, and just closed Cloud9 out with ease.
That was down to business. And you even saw it. They won. They're in the back. All right, we're going to do it again. Whatever they're saying, they were off stage quick and making sure they get enough time back there to figure out what's going to happen in game 3, because this means a lot to both teams. Nobody wants to go down here. We're going to game 3.
Yeah, keep that momentum going. They were able to just draft very similar compositions and beat C9 in what is close to a mirror match, right? Moon was pretty decent at keeping Contracts down in the middle of the game at one point, level 7 to 5, but so much of that was just High, roaming around the map on Corki, always landing with his packages, but with the low kills and how, you know, C9 really didn't seem like they could mount any answer. It was very much a team-feeling victory by Cloud9 as they just slowly took down all the turrets.
Balls flanking and positioning so good in this game as well. We saw that dragon fight, and he had actually been seen by the Bloom. They had hit the Bloom, they saw him in the bottom and said, wait. But the fact that that dragon was pressured pulled him right back down into Balls. There's nothing they could do about it. Seeing Flyquest have that much control is definitely going to make Cloud9 think coming into game 3. For more on how Flyquest tied up that series, let's pass it over to Freak and our analysts.
Thank you very much, Riv. What a game. Flyquest, after a throw really in game 1, come back and just dominate after the first maybe 5 minutes, the rest of the game through, and it was really solid by them.
It was really surprising the way they did it, too. Like, this is not the Flyquest that we expect to see. They have a really standard draft. They play the game out very slow and methodically. So I think this was just a total different Flyquest, and I don't know if it took C9 by surprise, but they seemed almost asleep a little bit during this game.
Yeah, they really did, and I think Flyquest played well, but this was also C9 just playing poorly, it felt like. It felt like they were not proactive. All the Shen ults were very defensive. People were getting caught out. People were not really like creating opportunities to go aggressive, and that's how I think Shen succeeds the most, is when you're using the ultimate in a coordinated way offensively. You know, Jensen never felt like he really got off the ground. The whole game in general felt very lackadaisical all the way up to the end, where they're giving up their third inhibitor before even fighting, right? They're fighting at their nexus when the game is already done. It felt very strange to see Cloud9 in that situation.
Right, so let's talk about the Shen allowing to be proactive. We have a combined replay here, and it's the fact that making a mistake can snowball into even more being grabbed up, and it starts with the Contracts trying to take more of the jungle away from Moon, and they lose the first Shen ulti, trying to keep him alive.
And I mean, he knew that the Kha'Zix was there. The Kha'Zix is level 6. He dies, and not only does he die, but he takes the Shen ultimate. Now, cue this dive. Everyone remembers this. This is what started to really snowball the game. Imagine now if there is that Stand United on Contracts in this situation. Perhaps he doesn't go down, a taunt lands on high, etc. It's at least very risky to try to pull off this dive, and instead, this is kind of really what brings Flyquest into the lead, and those mistakes can cost you a lot, because Stand United is a very long cooldown early in the game. Impact is TPing back to lane because he knows that he has this global ultimate to be able to respond to the fights. Contracts not only gives up his life, gives up the ultimate too, and that costs him the dive in the bot lane.
And the sad part about that was the fact that their bot lane for C9 was winning really, really hard. Altec had to run to try and help High out once, and he lost both summoners, a ton of farm, and pressure in the lane, and so
he was down like 30-something CS.
Yeah, right, and you think that like with a Shen, you're going to start diving bot lane relentlessly, but Contracts on your screen made that big mistake in that invade topside, and they lose what should be their game plan from there, kind of getting flipped around totally on them, where there's dives happening to their bot lane. So that really gave up control of the game initially, and then we didn't see much out of them the rest of the game, where they were finding ways to use the Shen.
Right, we saw a team fight where it felt like Ball was able to walk into a flank and make it a big team fight. Our next replay up here is going to be a Flyquest 3-for-0 off of Balls just getting onto the back line of Maokai, and it was almost effortless.
And he's had a number of good flanks, some off the back of TPs. This one, he just walked in from bot lane, walked straight behind. They force sneaky slash with the Jhin ult just prior to this, so he knows he's an easy target. They jump onto him, and Balls is doing a great job tanking. It's a little hard for Flyquest to get involved in the fight, but once, you know, the fact that Balls can make it take so long, finally they're able to join up. They finish him off, and it's a chase throw into the rest of the team, and from there, they're able to turn on to Baron.
Yeah, exactly. Once they had that Baron, it really did seem like a bit of a foregone conclusion. Look at High's damage. Pretty impressive there. He was really proactive and played very well this game. I think his utilization of the package, especially in the early game, was huge and critical in getting them that lead.
And it's actually kind of interesting looking at this. High, of course, was absolutely huge. I want to first talk about some of these members on C9 where we're saying that they're not being very proactive. I want to start a discussion on Contracts and say now that C9 are actually against a team that can test them, is Contracts really a super great jungler, or is he just on the best team or the second best team in North America?
You go first.
I mean, to me, even before they were tested today, Contracts hadn't really been shining for me. He's been someone who was kind of there, and it felt like he's along for the ride. He's playing pretty well for the most part. But if you don't look incredible when you're jungling for the team that has all winning lanes, then you're probably not doing as well as a lot of other junglers are. The fact is, it's massively easier to play when all your lanes are winning, which C9 almost always has. And when you compare it to someone like Acadian, right, who's coming into the league or Moon, you know, on teams that their lanes are not always winning. You know, Flyquest famous for having CS deficits and stuff, and they still make things happen, even though they have to cover their lanes for their opponents. They have to do things to help them out instead of being proactive and looking for ganks.
I mean, we've seen Contracts on things like Kha'Zix and Lee Sin looking really good. His Ivern's fine, but it's almost always playing around Jensen, who's generating his own lead. And we saw that when that doesn't happen, like game 1, and here he was trying to do it a little bit but got punished. It feels like he takes a really backseat to the game, and he's there just supporting the rest of the team. And in these kinds of games where no one on the team was really making anything happen, he's not the one to do it either.
Well, speaking of players making things happen, though, High, player of the game in this one, I think completely well-deserved. Most damage in the game by a long shot. I think double almost anyone else in this game overall. Damage percent, 44.8. Sure, some of that's quirky, but he's obviously doing incredible. And yeah, okay, you're up against Jensen, maybe the best laning mid lane in North America, and he matches lane, roams down, gets 2 kills, roams top lane, gets a couple more kills, roams bot lane, gets some more kills, and just smashes everybody.
This is one of the first times I've seen Jensen in a lane matchup where not only is he behind on the roam, but he's actually losing in farm and stuff too. So the fact of the matter is Jensen seemed maybe a bit nervous here. We actually were talking about in game 1 how Jensen has the tendency to, if he can't match the roam for sure and get something out of that, he always shoves the wave, he gets ahead in CS, he gets turret damage down. In this, we saw, like especially on that bottom dive, he roamed like 15, 20 seconds too late, kind of wanders down, can't do anything there.
Waits 5 seconds.
Loses the wave in mid lane, doesn't get turret damage down. So this is something that was pretty uncharacteristic from him, and he should be winning at least in farm if High is roaming and doing all these things, because if you roam late, you get the worst of both worlds. So it was definitely weird to see.
And I think if you're Reaper here, you got to do something to fire your team up. I mean, obviously, they've lost 2 early games versus Flyquest. Flyquest kind of threw with that Baron call in the first game. Even with gifted a lead initially in this game, they didn't make anything happen. They were making mistakes. So you got to find some way to get your team engaged in the game and start making plays. And I know it's scary to do that against Flyquest because they're a very scrappy team. Like, they're down to make crazy fights. We see High, like, die and come back and die again. He doesn't care. They still win games like that. But you have to start forcing something that's favorable for you and not just reacting to everything Flyquest is doing.
Well, we'll see if an aggressive play can come out of Cloud9 because Game 3 is coming up and it's going to be a doozy. Meet us here for the finale, and the conclusion, and the Game 3 of Cloud9 vs Flyquest after the break. See you soon.
I want to shit talk, but they're gonna put it in like mic check, you know, and then I'm gonna look like a dick. I think it's mic check.
Can you head into the lobby?
No, we just have to say really nice things.
Yeah, one.
Alltech is here. It's going to be a summoner heal in the last second. Gets the save on him. Contracts could be locked up here. They need to keep running the end of the line against the wall. They find Jensen now on the backside. Sneaky down, and they are flying through. The exhausts are out, so here comes the damage. Impact is the next focus. He's going to go down.
Finally, they try and go in for a fight.
Impact going for broke. They roll the dice. Moon's the target. Exhaust down on him, and they get him. Flies the next one. Impact for the second taunt. High raises his arms in victory. We're going to a Game 3 from Flyquest and Cloud9. for Game 3 of Flyquest versus Cloud9. And what a game number 2. The tables have turned, and that was pretty clean from Flyquest.
Yeah, seeing fly high walk off stage as well. He was pumped after that one. I haven't seen him that excited in years for games, so you can kind of feel how much this means for him in this game, because so many of these guys were on Cloud9 and they really want to prove themselves up against their former team.
Absolutely. We heard him coming in. It would be more than an embarrassment for Jensen to lose this game to his former teammate and kind of mentor in the mid lane position for a time being.
Yeah, this series as a whole is really delivering on more than what we could have expected, and the bans already evolving throughout the series. Camille and Cassiopeia, blue side banned by Flyquest here. Those are two champions that Cloud9 used to much success towards the end of that first game, which gave Cloud9 their victory on the series.
So what now back on red side can Cloud9 look to do? Give themselves back some momentum or throw something new at Flyquest?
Right, so depending on what the bans were going to be with the main OPs being out, I would love to see them go with a poke composition with Ivern. That's what I'd like to see them do. Contracts has only lost one game on Ivern so far, and I feel like they'd be very good with it, countering the Flyquest dive that they've been so effective with.
Right.
With that being said, Contracts is undefeated in his LCS career on Kha'Zix, and he's played it 9 or 10 times, so I would be surprised if they don't just go with that, even though I'd like to stylistically see the Ivern.
There is the Kha'Zix. Switched over from Malzahar.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Not any really big choice there. We figured that would happen. Camille banned out by Flyquest side, actually favoring that not going into the hands of Impact once again.
Yeah, Reaper taking his time here as so much hinges on this final pick and ban phase of the series. This is the expected power picks that are unbanned if they go with both of these. Oh, they switch it up to Jin at the last second.
Fly was using that quite a bit just to start the fight, deter Cloud9 from trying to engage a siege. So they say, nope, we are going to be the ones that can open up with Curtain Call whenever we want this time. Now on the side of Flyquest, could be Altex.
Oh, it could very well be. It also
and
blocks.
They take the Malzahar, so it is.
This blocks the Zyra support as well, and there's still the chance they could put high in the mid lane on this, because we've seen that happen over in the European LCS, but this is something that Altec in particular has had a lot of success with. Even going with the Zyra will still give them the Zyra, but the MF can kill those plants relatively quickly. It's a little harder from an AD MF instead of support MF to do that, because you're trying to balance CSing with it. Love the choice there with the Misfortune.
Fortunately, they don't synergize the plants this time on Cloud9. It is the Kha'Zix we saw in the first pick. Sorry, Jap. Ivern will stay rooted this game. Ban phase 2, Cloud9, 5 seconds left. Evelyn. Actually, we kind of said Moon wouldn't see too much on that, but Cloud9 prioritized the strength he has.
Exactly. Now they throw target bans at him. Obviously, if he has been playing the Ivern, it's still possible for him as they move into more target bans. C9, highly likely to be counter-picking Jensen's mid lane with the final pick of this draft, which means Flyquest is going to do as much as they can to just ban top laners here, as that's the expected first pick in the second pick phase for Cloud9.
Poking out that top, as well as saying, I don't want too much AoE crowd control coming in here. It'd be nice to synergize with a Zyra and a Kennen. On the side of Cloud9, looks like they focus jungle. There's still quite a few to play. Maybe they'll do it again.
Yeah, I
It's gonna
mean,
be Jace.
Jace being down and Corki still being available. High, I feel like, has had his best performances on Corki. That's another option that Cloud9 could take away from Flyquest if they want to, but Flyquest still having this last ban to lock out whatever type of power pick they think Cloud9 is going to go with early. Another top laner.
That side of Sneaky, still see the Cassiopeia in this game. Had Jensen on that throughout game 1. We'll look for what kind of top lane they might throw in here so Jensen can see what is coming from Flyquest.
Yeah, so this is probably the top laner. So many top lane bans already, though, with Jace being taken out. Kennen, Rumble, Camille, Shen.
Still have that Poppy we saw before, but Nautilus for Impact this time.
Just locked down success, something Cloud9 kind of struggled with getting in that last game. Shen was their sole best bit of initiation and wasn't quite able to get in. This is just point and click for Impact. Pretty good against Misfortune as well. Oh my, blind pick Zed.
Look at
for high. He's grooving right now.
He is grooving. Perfect word for it. He's ready to go in. Look, I feel like somebody just told him something. He says, that's fine. He is
That's confident.
going up against a deadly team. As soon as he gets in, he might just have a depth charge on him. And Moon is on board as well as a dive buddy for these kills. Somebody gets tagged by these two, and they're going to be going down very fast.
The safe pick was up if he wanted Corki.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have just put together another long-range team fighting composition like that, but no. What does Jensen answer with here? Essentially, High throws down the gauntlet with the Zed pick.
Jensen or Incarnation? I'm just kidding.
Zillion?
Zillion is locked in for the mid lane. So they are going to look to deny the assassination play coming in from Fly and hope to catch them off guard on maybe some overextensions. They have the crowd control. They have a bit of re-engage. C9's team comp does work.
Wow.
Very interesting, though.
Well, that's a little bit of spice for the end of the series. I love it. The Zillion against Zed can be very effective if the Zillion gets ahead. Obviously, you can just ult yourself or whoever's targeting to bring him back from the Deathmark. But aside from that, you can also throw the bombs on wherever the Deathmark retreat path or the Shadow is going to be going to really limit the mobility of the Zed overall. And with High actually going Ignite on Zed instead of something like Cleanse, being able to double bomb stun and then had more lockdown just adds to how risky this pick could be for High.
Absolutely awesome. Not sure that maybe Zed was, but I don't know if Zillion was uttered in the preparation for this game to come in for Cloud9 and Flyquest.
Really waiting for Jensen Zillion to make its appearance.
Can't wait for game 3. But they are going to put it in here as what Reaper thinks is going to be a key factor in this composition, as on red side, Jensen was given what he felt was a counter, or rather safe pick into this matchup. He is, however, countering the assassin that Zed, or I should say High, has picked up in Zed. We're going into game 3, Fly versus C9, hashtag Fly win. Hashtag C9 win. And will this be the chance for Flyquest to take down Cloud9, or will Cloud9 stay undefeated in the LCS?
Now, Zed has always been one of High's best champions. He played it to so much success in 2013 and 2014, but since then, really hasn't gotten his shake in the mid lane. People told him he was washed up, he was moved around to jungle, support, didn't have the mechanics for mid lane, but as far as mid lane mechanics, Zed requires a lot of them, and High has always been good on this champion. However, blind picking it, incredibly dangerous, especially against a mid laner as good as Jensen, who has lined up Zillion as his counter. And I can't wait to see this happen in the deciding game of the series.
Well, they definitely try to test each other. One to get clapped, one fool to get bodied. Which will happen first?
It's really close. Who's saying more Flyquest or Cloud9? I heard a little bit more Flyquest in that one, but the crowd definitely into this. And it's interesting because so many C9 fans are also Flyquest fans because they share so much history. So it's gotta be gut-wrenching to try and pick a side.
It's a love-hate relationship with yourself, basically. Not anything else. Elimination hovering on the side. I'm gonna pop this plant. Oh, really? Altec moves in. Exhaust immediately blows the flash. That's what they were looking for. The time win there on summoner spells in favor of Flyquest.
Yeah, you have to back away from the Voidlings in a level 1 trade. If you ever get the angle on someone, you're going to get the flash, and that's what Smoothie has lost right there. But obviously, exhaust being down isn't a total loss. Cooldown on the exhaust will be a little bit faster, but if they do go for an all-in, you'd rather have the exhaust than the flash. Whew.
Nice shot onto Sneaky. They're going to keep this lane not healthy. I like that. Leaves a chance for a lot of kills up here and makes everybody play very careful. It's funny, sometimes you see a lane, they'll get destroyed, and then they can farm under their turret with 100 HP forever. Just be that careful in the beginning. Why not?
Well, especially with these longsword builds these guys are going now. You have 3 health potions on the AD, often 3 health potions on the support as well. So plenty of sustain if they do tango at level 1. Costing the potions.
A little trade back and forth. It's High. He's always going to take some bombs, having to walk up for some melees here while his shurikens are down. So we'll just see this one pan out early. A little jungler intervention maybe needed before level 6 here. And we've seen Moon has been very active on this Nidalee, able to power farm, but still have a presence in lane.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, Contracts so good at Kha'Zix thus far. A lot of things flying against each other. Winner of this game will be first place in the North American LCS through 4 weeks. Moon early gank top lane balls, just level 2. Does he have Twisted Advance skilled? Even? Or is he just going to smack him a bunch?
Doesn't seem to look like it. There it is. He's waiting for it to come back up. Must have hit him up before. Impact gets taken down. Deja Vu, game number 1. Repeat gank top.
Yeah, one of the easier ganks you would see pulled off, but you have to credit the pathing by Moon right there, who started blue buff, went all the way red, and then because of the position of the lane, I gotta say, they called that many seconds in advance, can give first blood to Balls. Impact definitely not expecting that early of a gank in that spot. Doesn't even burn flash because he knew he was dead to rights.
Moon on his Nidalee. Looks like he's gonna try to keep going for it. Teleport back to lane. That's gonna be a real long walk.
Here, and he's got a level advantage. They gotta be careful.
They say, can we take it? He's gonna hit the spear first. Marks him, but now they gotta be careful. The flash was still there for Impact, something they did consider, and we're not able to get the kill off on. Almost turned the tide of that fight for Balls.
I actually do not agree with Flyquest going in there. If they, I believe they had seen Kha'Zix in the jungle. They had a level advantage on the Kha'Zix, and the flash was up on Impact. So trade flashes, maybe they feel like that's an advantage if Moon's going to spend more time up there, but incredibly dangerous.
And it shouldn't be too bad for Impact. The lane is resetting for there with the cannon minion, so it should hang out for quite some time. His teleport being down could have hurt pretty bad there. The other lane's not seeing too much action just yet, and that was mainly Moon ending up on the different side than Contracts was. Really able to make something happen. That is Ball's first kill. He did have a very good Maokai game last time, so they get him going to start things off, making sure Impact can't eke out a lead with what he does in the waves.
Smoothie was still flashless, so Hai decided to try and make a roam down bottom, but he was spotted out by the ward. Always looking to make the play, and Rip, that's one thing that Flyquest has done much better than C9, is they've been first to the play so many times.
Oof. That's just solo so far. Wow. Lemon Nation delivering that much damage. Altec trying to get there for a few. He's just focusing minions, making it rain. Pest control, a little troublesome for C9 right now. Hai starting to getting HP advantage here in the mid lane. Moon nowhere to be found though, so it looks like this is just going to be a farm out. No kill to come from that. Exhaust was just used again. That flash is finally coming back up for Smoothie, as it was blown very early in the lane.
Yeah, exhaust used by Flyquest to make sure they can shove it in the wave. Going to try and get that first buy. Notice Serrated Dirks coming in across the board for Hai and Altec. They're basically building exactly the same items. Also note that Jensen burned teleport early in lane to get back and keep that CS advantage onto Hai. It's also going to secure level 6 first, making it really hard for Hai to get a kill in that lane.
See if this back is any different. And that actually is not. So Health Crystal, Ruby Crystal, I should say, over to Lemon Nation. Really just a control ward for Smoothie.
Yeah, I think Moon's going to try and gank through the front door. He's hoping to just combo this with the spear and then get in front of the dredge line.
Nice timing on the dredge line. Flashes forward, still trying to mark it. Sapling's going to get the slow. Sapling doesn't hit. He hit a minion. He hit a minion with the auto. And Impact dodges the last javelin.
Moon with the slight missed execution on that gank, and Hai actually chasing up through a ward here, so Contracts may lay in wait. Is he going to go for this? Smoothie also roaming. Hai doesn't quite know he's spotted.
Ooh, level 6 Hai. Levels he can get in and out. There's the shield on Impact, but I don't know if it would keep him alive through the engage. A lot of the team roaming up. They don't also have vision on Sneaky or Smoothie, so they got to call. One of them may also be helping this top lane. Getting a little tense for a second. Balls may be overstaying his welcome. They're just trying to see if they can get the victory here on an error.
Jensen saved him in time.
Balls could be locked down. Contracts up. They go in on Contracts. Hai's going to be using this last shadow after the flash. The timing of the shadow.
Oh, he doesn't get him!
Go for the kill. Oh, the dredge line in. Impact comes up huge within the last minute to help control this top lane.
Such a tight turn there by C9. They wanted the fight because Smoothie had roamed up there, and the exhaust catches Hai completely by surprise.
Yeah.
It doesn't give him enough damage to close the kill. He can't quite chase him down after the death mark. And C9 get this one. So notice Level 4 Smoothie top lane in 5 minutes. What are you doing? That exhaust is the difference.
Exactly.
And then High was waiting on the cooldown of his Q or just an auto attack, and Impact lands the Q right at the last second to pull High away, even up those kills.
He's finally just getting back down to the bot side. And only half damage on the turret. A little bit of bullet time. Looks like Altec wants some breathing room to get back, get some items in. They'll both back. So a little action towards the top side. Only 1-1 after all of that. And Impact has been getting quite a bit of attention in these games from Fly. Making sure that he can't be the factor that just controls the side lane sweep. His teleports have been so good in the mid game as well.
Whoops-a-daisy, Moon. Got to shake off those jitters and land the spears. Auto attack to minion in an earlier game on Impact. Could be 2 kills for 0 here for Flyquest. And it has definitely been a plan, Riv, as you mentioned, for Moon and Balls to try and double team Impact in that top lane. It has been consistent and persistent in every game.
He's back up. Teleports up for him as well. Scryers bloom through the jungle, and he also gets some vision down. Now with the roam, he may just bring his teleport to a lane. They're going to back off as High retreats under his turret. A lot of members of Fly as well, clearing out what Smoothie's trying to put in the jungle. But they got to respect him. They don't know what's on the other side. I mean, he also has to respect that.
Absolutely. Only so many spears you can take. High trying to get poking over the wall. Keep in mind, though, Jensen still has his ultimate. Nice double stun. He might just go for a turnaround kill.
Pulls back, 300 HP. A nice surge from Moon to keep him a little topped off, but Jensen could definitely get some help from Contracts and make something happen in that lane. A ping onto Balls. They know what his position is on the map now up towards Baron. And it looks like Moon may go for a temp bot lane, which is just grabbing the Scuttle Crab.
And he's also kind of hoping that Flyquest would go for a dive. Go for the execute!
Oh, chopped up. Contracts using the last bit of mana. A little bit of torque as he gets himself out.
And you have to be so careful going up against Kha'Zix in the jungle. You saw right there, Contracts just with 2 Qs out of Fog of War, just enough mana. Moon doesn't even need to go for the dive, but because Contracts had warded out the river, he's able to get a pretty easy kill there. And that's going to make Moon really scared to go into open spaces like that for the rest of the game.
Bit of a disparity here now in the lane. We have seen it throughout pretty much each game except for number 2 for High. Down in CS, his roams much more abundant than Jensen, costing him a bit of CS. And this time he's not coming up with the kills. Nether Grasp right into the ultimate. Smoothie's gonna get backed off out of this one, and it looks like they get this Stranglethorn onto Lemon. I thought he just made it off of the outside. Altec keeps himself alive. Summoner spell is used on the bot side.
And just the heal and the flash, all that necessary to turn that around. It looked like they thought they had the damage, but they didn't. They got everything down off this because he flashes, gets his Misfortune E down with the ultimate, so that's essentially the combo, but then Smoothie just turns it around to get the knock up onto Lemon. It's a pretty easy turnaround kill.
Heal as well, helping to save Smoothie on that one.
Yeah, and then Moon comes in right at the end.
Doot doot.
We also come out of that replay into a pause, so we will be looking into what the issue is here on stage.
You seem to be somewhat visual with MF's ult there. Is that actually what it is? Not quite sure of the confirmation yet. We'll have that for you in just a little. Top lane focus on this guy right here has been the majority of the game. It seems to be not the win condition, but at least early game advantage to take down Impact. Make sure he cannot side split push when the time comes.
And it really has been so much about that focus in the top lane for Flyquest and whether or not that can work. But this game in particular, with the Zed blind pick and then the Nidalee in the jungle, it really feels like Flyquest is trying to win this game through the laning phase and really just snowball it to victory. So this is a pretty poor start for them as C9 has absorbed a lot of that aggression, actually up in kills, up in gold, and kind of primed to also have a better teamfight phase. So Flyquest has got to turn it up pretty soon.
And very recently, we mentioned that stat for C9. When they have that lead, they win. Kind of altered within the last few days, but before that, it was 100% snowball rate if they had the lead. You think if there were a team to be able to stop that, it would be Flyquest. And we're just getting Altec's computer situated.
Yeah, so we will have to wait to hear exactly what is going down and if we can get right back in the game or not.
Also one of the only teams that continues to, not only, there's in Europe, but use that MF as an AD carry.
Yeah.
Wasn't really even shown as a flex this time. They said, oh yeah, Mal's MF. We'll take that. We just want to play it. Altec has really been enjoying the champion in the ball lane.
Yeah, and it's interesting how Smoothie's still willing to match with the Zyra, because one of the biggest threats of that lane oftentimes is actually an MF and a Zyra, because that's the strongest support, and then also you kind of get rid of the natural counter. Whereas Malzahar has a few more potential counters, which include Zyra. Zyra is good into the Malzahar lane. So I do feel like Flyquest, when they did that Malzahar pick, is really trying to just zero in on Lemon Nation's most comfortable champion, which has been the Malzahar as of yet. I hear he really likes playing these kind of weird supports, and he was really early on to the Malzahar before everyone else picked it up. So a huge amount of comfort there that Flyquest is trying to capitalize on. Just hasn't worked so far this game.
High as well on that Zed. Kind of causing the Zillion pick to come in, I'd say, making sure these assassinations can't happen. We'll see the teams chatting a little bit. Looks like they have been given permission. As well as Moon, we kind of just saw him speaking with the team, has been a little, had a few errors within his top lane gank, kind of farming in the jungle, has been a bit aloof, as we saw him missing some spears, but definitely not on point as much as we've seen that in Italy in the past.
Exactly. Moon has had such a good year so far, so having some of those mistakes, pretty crucial. And we do have an update from the stage. They are currently investigating a potential bug with Misfortune's ultimate. So what happened there is Altec flashed in, ER'd. They thought they had the damage, so something, he's claiming, I believe something is happening there, and that is during the investigation, so we'll keep you guys up to date on that.
Crazy. I'm sure the momentum was well coming into this game. They were ready to keep going. Everybody had those win conditions, so these pauses kind of do give you a moment of breath. But obviously, you want to be into that game. We'll get this figured out as quick as possible.
We're going to watch what happened here. I do not know what the report was, but he's claiming a bug with the ultimate. And it looks like the animation for the ult goes off from Altec's perspective, but the rest of the bullet time actually didn't. So that could have been a kill, and then it goes on cooldown as well. So I guess the question would be whether or not they think Altec canceled the ultimate, because that definitely looked to me like no damage came through, despite the MF laugh and gun shooting, and then we saw the pause immediately after.
Yeah, considering that Lemon Nation has you in that nether grasp, it almost looked like that was just his damage.
Well, exactly. He flashed in so confidently with that. And yeah, the damage just does not come through from that ultimate. Yet it does go on cooldown, so you would think. But obviously, I cannot make the call on these. We saw the replay.
What's the answer?
I cannot be anything more than that. Oh, this is going to be an interesting ruling for sure, because the game is at an inflection point, right? We talk about High Zed being down against the Zillion and how Moon's gank's top lane did work early, but ultimately C9 is looking like they're absorbing a lot of this aggression. Very pivotal moment in the game here.
So, also just got confirmation that a super minion, not a super minion, one minion blocked all of the damage from the ult, obviously not intended.
Oh my
is the
goodness.
confirmation of the play. So looking into that right now, and that is a pretty severe happening, actually. That would have been a fight win in the bot lane for them. So we'll get this figured out.
I'd actually like to see that again. I'm trying to go back to it on my client here as well, because that is pretty weird. I hear we're going to get another replay as well, because this is obviously what the referees are trying to look at in the back as well.
Oh, that minion.
Yeah. Look at the cannon minion here as Altec goes in for the ultimate. It should obviously pass
right
through.
next to him, too.
But the minion...
See the caster blocking?
Just gets trucked for some damage, and that is not how the MF ult is supposed to work. This is a bug I've personally never seen.
Well, maybe you should reconsider throwing a bunch of water balloons at somebody. Maybe they should be bullets.
Oh my goodness, and in such a pivotal moment too. 1-1 in the series.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just gonna have to wait on that ruling, because the rest of the series still has so much story going through it. Balls has stepped up in a way that many didn't expect against Impact. Yeah. Obviously had a lot of help with Moon, but that is how you play the game. You work with your jungler to get those advantages, and that has been where Balls and Moon have been better than Contracts and Impact early on in this series. Even this game as well, if only they could have closed in that second gank.
It has seemed like they have the right idea towards that top side of the map. Impact has been known now to be very, very vocal for the team. Some good English coming through. Not just top die. They do make the meme about that, but he is one of the most vocal players on the team. So to make sure he is tagged down and worried about getting his teleport back. And
Suffocating as he gets on camera, trying to watch the final series of the day. Yeah, this is what happens when we have extended pauses. We look around in the crowd.
Oh, God. Earthquake.
Hide.
Earthquake.
I don't know why he's embarrassed about that. He should be more embarrassed of the Twitter picture he posted saying his camera was taking random pictures as he was flexing in the mirror. But
Free trip to the gun show.
there we go. He's proud of his body. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry, the mind wanders.
Don't be sorry. Oh, it doesn't.
No.
Oh, chat. See the teams kind of laid back.
Jensen standard, the game is pause stance. Obviously, because of the duration of this pause, both teams know that they're investigating a bug. They're allowed to talk. Obviously, we've been in pause for 8 minutes currently. Really just trying to contemplate where the rest of this series goes. It's been a long day as well. Keeping in mind the first series went 3.5 hours, so.
Oh, yeah.
The tension builds, Riv.
Riv, yeah. It's been quite a long day. And I'm sure for these guys, the anticipation of coming up to this game, we get in and we had all tech switch out a cable in the monitor, got that fixed up, and we got the hype video played again. And then what two first games I should say we had. The Barons back and forth, and now Flyquest coming out strong in game 2. Game 3 at a stalemate.
Yeah, in many ways. Kills were sitting 3-1. It's a 1,000 gold lead by Cloud9. So still a very competitive game, not much to be decided. Only 10 minutes and 49 seconds in before we hit that pause. And for those of you that may have been off getting a drink or something, we are in pause. They're investigating a misfortune bug, and we've seen many replays. It appeared that the cannon minion somehow took all the damage from bullet time, and that prevented the kill from going through off of Lemon Nation's Nether Grasp on Malzahar. So they're investigating what to do with this situation.
Also checking to make sure that wasn't just visual, making sure it also was accurate. It might have all gone through the heel, kind of throwing us off, but it did seem amiss.
They also have a way of tracking the inputs of the players' computers when they do this. So not only can they check if it's a spectator bug, they also see on the player's computer.
Yeah. It's true. It's like, was it your mistake or not? It's like driving a Tesla into a wall. Probably was your fault.
It was the autopilot, I swear. Much like, I'm sorry, it's just time to go off on a tangent. Did you ever hear the rapid acceleration cases with the Toyota Priuses where people were saying the gas pedal was just held down?
Yes.
And that they pressed the brake and nothing would happen? Well, it's not really a thing. It's mainly people that are in unfamiliar cars that think they're pressing the brake and are actually just pressing the gas pedal, and that's why they have rapid acceleration.
It would be rapid.
Absolutely, but because the case got so strong that they eventually had to do all these things, but no, they were never able to really prove rapid acceleration happens.
I actually have had that happen once.
Were you
Luckily, I was
in a
going
car
uphill.
that you hadn't driven?
No, it was my car, but it just got stuck under the floor mat when I pressed the gas pedal
Right.
down.
But that, you can actually just press the brake and overpower the gas.
To a point.
To a point.
It doesn't sound good. We're still waiting for this. Like Jess said, if you're just joining us, unfortunately in a pause of quite a rabble-rousing game. Unfortunately now kind of losing that aggression. We'll get back into it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it has been such a series coming through. It was pretty much everything we had wanted up until this point, where no one wants an 11-minute pause in such a pivotal moment. It'll make it all the more rewarding when we do get back into the game because it is such a hype series. Just recapping kind of the whole season, Cloud9 unbeaten so far, 7-0, trying to go on 8-0. Flyquest currently sitting at 6-1. If they win, hold the tiebreaker over Cloud9 and move into sole possession of first place. People were talking coming into this week that yes, Flyquest was 5-1, but they hadn't played TSM, Phoenix 1, or Cloud9 yet. Now they're really going to face the big teams. If they could walk out of this having already beaten Phoenix 1 and also beating Cloud9, they're really in that conversation for one of the best teams in the LCS.
I've definitely heard somebody say that second one, that Flyquest needs to be tested coming into this game. But no, you're absolutely right. We're coming around to week number 5. These guys are at the top of the table, and it looks great for them on the back half. They pretty much don't have to worry about anything. So a huge win here for Flyquest would put them in even better position. I mean, it's only 1-2 that they're jockeying for, but these guys have not shown that many weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also just the emotional component and how much the momentum can carry through to the rest of the season. Like I said, I hadn't seen Hai as excited after a game in years than he was after winning that game 2 against Cloud9, just kind of bounding off the stage so happily. And it's just him now blind picking the Zed and kind of throwing down the gauntlet onto Jensen to try and take him out. You want to see him succeed if you've been watching Cloud9 for so many years, but then you watch them against Cloud9 and you say, no, don't succeed against Cloud9. But that's the situation we're in right now with all these veterans being on Flyquest and making quite a splash as the new old guys in the LCS.
It is true. We did see how kind of jived Hai was to get that Zed pick locked in, and has been able to do a bit of work with it in the game.
Yeah, I haven't heard from production in a bit, but we know that we have seen the replays.
Yeah.
They obviously are investigating potential remake options, whether or not it deems a full remake or not. We've been in a lot of situations like this, and we have to essentially wait on the referee's call to know what has happened. We have remade a few games in the history of the LCS. Obviously, whenever there's a game-changing bug that happens that you can go back, sometimes you do full remakes for those things. We're just going to have to wait on what happens.
It is true, and there's the options too. Usually if there's no game of record, which means people were seeing, you keep the same champions. This one may actually flow over into the complete new picks and bans scenario. We will have to see in just a few moments. We do apologize for the delay into Flyquest and C9. It's been such a long-awaited match to come up, but it will happen tonight. I can promise you that.
No?
I can promise you that.
Yeah,
no, I'll put
it's been
myself
a long
on
time since 2012 where we had to push games off to a later date. This one is honestly a bug we've never seen before. For those of you who are just joining us, obviously, Alltech, MF Ultimate was going for a kill, didn't appear to do any damage to the champion, which I can pretty much confirm. We've seen it multiple times. It looked like it hit the minion and somehow didn't pass through, even though nothing blocks MF Ultimate except for wind walls and Brahmies. So definitely pause-worthy. Good job by Alltech for pausing that to try and ask for a bug to be investigated, and that's currently what's happening.
Absolutely. And as we sort out everything on stage, we are going to go ahead and throw it over to analysts Mark and Azael over on the desk. Guys, take it away.
Thanks, Riv. And so unfortunate pause there.
Yeah, and
middle of the game.
The crazy thing is that bug, it looks really hard to tell because Jat's saying it doesn't look like it was doing damage. We were watching it as well. We were more on the side that it looked like it was, in fact, doing damage. So it's a complicated thing that they have to sort out.
It definitely is. And I mean, the only thing that we're thinking of is when it's no Malzahar Voidlings, no Malzahar E. The MF, just the E, plus the Malzahar support ultimate should not do about 600 damage, which is kind of what he took there. But it's hard to tell. The invisibility on the ultimate is obviously a bug.
Yeah, of course.
And that's definitely got to be frustrating. But, for these teams, either way, regardless of what happens, they have to be able to reset mentally. For a team who doesn't get a remake and wants one, or for a team that does and didn't want one, you've got to be able to kind of step back and just relax and take the game from there.
And the big thing is, of course, the fact that this game was not going very well for Flyquest. They had been forcing a lot of plays, which we expect to see, but they were mostly getting turned. There was Hai in the top side going for that dive, and he kind of got dealt with. He goes down, lost a lot of CS off it. Jensen was able to push in waves before following the roam. It was kind of counteracted by the fact that there was a lot of CS denied for C9 in the bot lane because Smoothie had moved up, but overall it seemed like C9 was slowly getting control of this game before the bug.
Yeah, and Jensen himself had a very big lead. You touched on it, Hai's roam, but Jensen matched the roam, but only after shoving in the wave, collecting all that farm first. So he was up a lot of farm, about 25, before he actually, went up and got that kill and everything. It cost both the summoners from Hai, so it's definitely a tough situation to be in for Hai, but we know that Flyquest can get themselves out of those situations and has come back from a lot worse.
Right, and just to touch on the draft part of it too is the fact that we haven't seen the Zillion pick come out really at all. So when you see Hai be known for these crazy kind of counter picks and the Zed being actually a blind pick here, he's done it a couple times. The fact that you see their counter pick here in the Zillion is something that you have to take into account. Should there be a remake, exactly how this changes up the draft strategy. And it's hard to be a player in this position and even a coach because you don't know if you should be worrying about the next game, if there's a remake, how does your draft change, or if you have to reset into this game, what plays you need to be looking out for and exactly what the game state is, because it is such a long time between, when you get your hands back on the mouse and keyboard again.
Or even if it's just a remake with same pick and bans, I don't really know how it would work. But the Zillion, obviously, not what I think most people were expecting, and people were kind of talking about that on Twitter even, and just kind of joking about it. But it seems to make some sense. Obviously, thought process being you're playing against Nidalee, you're playing against Zed. A lot of their goal in these sort of team fights is going to be to dive in, assassinate one person. If you can deny that, they feel like they can win the extended fight for Cloud9, and Zilean is pretty strong at doing that. But there are some weaknesses in both of the team comps as well.
Right, and even the Malzahar as well is another single target focused thing. But it feels like Flyquest team comp does also get outscaled. I think I'd rather take Kha'Zix in the late game situation over the Nidalee. Yeah. Similar with the Jhin and Zyra, they end up doing a lot of like AoE damage, whereas the MF is basically press R, and that's her biggest contribution. So when you look at the fact that Flyquest is a little bit behind already with how the game is going, the fact that I don't think their comp does as well in the late game, this is a big concern for Flyquest, even if they come back into this game.
And Nidalee is something we can touch on a little bit more because we have seen it kind of popping up more and more in the NALCS. Moon has been playing it. Acadian played it a couple of games. Moon did have some pretty good success on it, but we were talking about this during the game, the fact that it can be very, very hard to get involved in Nidalee in the late game or if you're behind.
Right, and it was a good early game by Moon, the initial path up to the top side to get the first blood with the help of balls. I mean, it's one of the things that people love doing, actually, is Maokai Nidalee, because it's such guaranteed lockdown CC for the spears to hit. Unfortunately, they only made that one play. He revisited a couple more times, unable to get any more done, and it felt like that's when things started to peter out for Flyquest.
Yeah, and Moon traditionally has had very good mechanics in the NALCS this season, and actually that second one, he auto-attacked the minion. The last auto-attack would have actually gotten them a kill, but he right-clicked the minion instead, so that was pretty unfortunate, and you do kind of want to snowball because Nidalee is such a good power farmer. If you can get the early kills, stay ahead in farm, you really can start to outlevel your opponents. You can start taking some advantages from that, and you can go off, right? But if you don't get to late game stages with those advantages, or you can't find people in the side lanes to pick off, we've seen Nidalee very often relegated to just being kind of this heal bot. You throw out spears occasionally, you're just healing up your teammates, you're not really able to get a lot done, and that's kind of more what has happened to Acadian when I've seen him playing it compared to him on Kha'Zix and other champions. He's not been able to have the same involvement and the same success that he normally would in the late game.
Right, and kind of expanding more to the broader scope of the series so far, it seems like Flyquest is way more proactive of a team, which I think we would have expected coming into the series based off the amount of kills they get in the early game, but it is a little worrying for C9 to see them until this last game, struggling to keep up with Flyquest, who had grabbed leads in the first few games. And here, again, they did get the first blood, and it looked like they might start snowballing around the top side before that unfortunate dive. And C9 does seem to be the team that has to play more on the back foot, which is scary when you're supposed to be the #1 place team. Like, you're expected to be able to run kids down and crush them, but that doesn't seem to be the case against a lot of the other top-tier teams.
No, at least against Flyquest. I mean, against CSM, to their credit, they did two of them very easily. They have had some other series that were closer, but it was with Ray in. This has been a series with Impact the whole way through. There's no early season jitters type excuses, and it is very close, right? These teams seem to be pretty evenly matched. You do have to wonder a little bit how much of this is nerves, for both teams. I think it's a match that there's a lot riding on it, as far as pride, as far as
the hype that came into this week too. We've been talking about for basically a week straight.
And I mean, for someone like Jensen, right? A lot of people used to talk about it, and you could tell it would be kind of annoying if you're on C9 and everyone talks about high shot calling, high shot calling, high shot calling. It's like almost like no one else is making any decisions, no one else is making moves on the team, and I think that is something that people wanted to kind of erase that from the C9 reputation once Hyde was no longer playing with them. They wanted to be seen as their own shot callers, as their own team, and kind of create their own reputation. So now Hyde is back. Flyquest is crushing. Hyde is looking amazing. It's like, oh God, not again, right?
Right. He had the solo kill on Jace against him in the second, or I think it was the first game where he was doing that. So, I mean, it is that kind of thing where like a lot of the counterparts that they replaced are stepping up. Like another one being Contracts versus Moon. I think we would say that for the most part of the series, Moon has gotten the better of Contracts. There was that one play where Contracts comes over the wall this game and kills Moon in the river, but other than that, I think Contracts has looked a little bit weaker, and this is a player that was on the Cloud9 Challenger team that became Flyquest before joining the main roster. So a lot of kind of incestuous relationships on the team with all the players.
Yeah, I mean, Moon has actually just played, I think it is fair to say he's had a better series than Contracts. Contracts has looked good in a number of different situations, had his own nice plays, of course, but Moon has been jungling very, very well and been extremely proactive. He's been one to go top twice, get early first bloods on Impact. Even the one game where Contracts did get that early first blood, Moon was still able to go top and kill Impact again. So a lot of the focus has actually been topside, and it's interesting because people don't traditionally think of balls as Flyquest's strong point, right? But Moon is actually putting a lot of his resources into camping for him and shutting down Impact. Throughout the games, there's been a ton of top lane focus.
Right, and I think that's something that maybe more teams look to exploit in the future, just with regards to the fact that, most people don't think that they can actually exploit Impact. You think that he's the solid rock top laner of this series, but even when he got the Camille pick, they picked the Poppy Eve, they started abusing him there, and it's the kind of thing where maybe moving forward, people try and exploit this a little bit harder, because Impact is a player who's on a little bit of an island on the top side. It does feel like Contracts is more around the mid and jungle, so or mid and bottom, excuse me. So I think maybe you start looking for a little bit of a blueprint here where you get him onto these tanks and then you camp him heavily early and kind of shut down his control over the mid and late game.
Yeah, definitely. And for C9, as Contracts and as the C9 team, you have to look to try to counteract that, right? You have to look to be able to enable him. If he's getting shut down, then you need to be there for the counter ganks. And one time you had pointed out was Contracts, going back to the Krugs in that early tower dive where he could have been there to kind of defend Impact on Camille in that game. There's times where they could have been in better position, because if you can shut down a tower dive, if you can counter gank that, it can be devastating for the other team. If you turn those around, it can often end up in 2 for 0 for the other team, and that's something that Contracts definitely needs to try to do, whether it's through vision, tracking Moon very well and trying to protect Impact that way, or being in position for those counter ganks. They have to do a better job of protecting Impact, especially if this is going to be a remake and they're going to have another game. They can't have Impact be the first person on C9 dying a 4th game in a row, because even when they got first blood, he was still the first C9 member to die, and that's happened 3 straight games.
Right, and I mean, you can probably put a little bit on Impact as well. With the Camille game, I don't think he looked super comfortable on the pick. Nope. You were pointing out all the mechanical things he wasn't doing right. He let the wave come into balls a number of times now, and that's opened him up to the early ganks. And Moon has done a little creative pathing to make sure that he's there at the most exploitable times. But I mean, Impact's a really smart player, and if he starts realizing that I'm being targeted, he needs to do a better job manipulating the wave to keep it on his side, so that way Flyquest can't go for these easy, overextended tank kills.
Yeah, and one of the things you had pointed out was the fact that Balls was often playing a champ that kind of has a better early push, right? And that's enabling him to bounce the wave, to reset it, and then set up kind of the slow push back to himself, where Moon can then look to gank that. And if you aren't going to put Impact on a champion where he can have kind of equal agency to manipulate that wave and control it and keep it in a location where he is, then the jungler does need to be there to walk in the wave, right? So that you can push it and reset it. And that is something that it's a 2 sides of the same coin, right? Either Impact has to do a better job, and if he's failing, then his team has to cover for mistakes, and you have to be there. And sometimes as a top laner, there's no way around it. You need jungle support, even just to get the wave back to a decent spot.
Right, and kind of looking more on the Flyquest side, I mean, they've done this a number of times. We're talking about the fact that C9 needs to react to what Flyquest is doing. Flyquest could also try shaking it up a little bit more. It feels like, let's target top side, let's get an advantage there, and let's flip it bot side. They've gone for a number of heavy bot plays. Worked out really well in game 2, where they were able to bring High down after they got the Shen globals out. But High is constantly down CS, and they're making all these roam plays, and it's this thing that we always talked about, our concern with Flyquest being that they make a ton of roam plays, and it's great, but it's often from deficits or something where they're catching up or getting a small lead versus a really blowing the game open one. And I think Jensen in particular has done a good job of mostly exploiting that, with the exception being that game 2 where he didn't leave lane enough.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's always been the thing for Flyquest. It's kind of interesting because they just keep winning, right? But people are like, oh, well, when someone does this against them, then they're going to lose, right? And now it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, they beat these other teams, but they haven't beat C9. And when C9 plays them, they're just going to lose their lanes too hard and the roams won't work or whatever. But it just seems to be that Flyquest is able to make the winning call a lot of the time, and they're able to fully commit to it and make those pay off. But I do agree, if you are losing the lanes and then you roam and the roam does not work, then you're massively behind, and that's kind of what it looked like was happening in Game 3, with that high roam to top lane and Jensen getting a very big lead.
Right. I mean, like you said, Flyquest, they're one of those teams, as we point out this early kill here by Moon, this is kind of what they've been doing a lot this series, where Balls has the wave coming into him. He's not even level 3 yet, but they're still able to brute force it. We were talking about maybe Impact should have fought within the wave there, trying to abuse a little bit more, because once you leave the wave, it opens yourself up for that long-range spear, which is set up by Balls. And they go top again. Here's that missed auto by Moon. They could have had another kill here and held him down really, really hard, because then he doesn't quite get this. And then this is a really extended sequence where I believe this play that happens is still off the back of that. High had roamed top, but Smoothie and Jensen had covered after pushing in their respective waves, and then he's just barely unable to pick up the kill in the contracts. And that's kind of one of the worst spots you can be in. And we were joking about that's a tilter of a play.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is we were talking about how High is like such a positive guy, always looking for the next thing. We talk about how Moon in scrims is like, oh, he just suicides harder than me and tells me don't worry about it. So I think this is the kind of play where like a lot of teams would be like, oh God, we just put so much resources in that top play, it doesn't work. I bet Flyquest were just like, oh, we denied Jin in the bot lane. This is great. This is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, they definitely do seem to be a team that is able to always kind of look on the positive side of things as far as what do we do to win next, right? They're always going for the winning plays, and that's sometimes you see teams do that and you get blown out of the game because you go for a risky play. Even if that's the best chance to win, you should still be going for it, right?
Yeah, and I think I was talking with you a little bit about how with Flyquest, I didn't care if they won or lost this series too much, and especially how they lost, because they're such an aggressive team that keeps going for those plays that if they got blown out 2-0, but they were like constantly forcing, my opinion of them wouldn't have really changed based off this series. It would have been C9's the better team. Okay, not too much of a surprise, but like there's no way that Flyquest loses that changes my opinion of them. Currently in the season, because they are the team that, you know, Hyatt literally was playing LeBlanc, died, respawned, ran bottom, went aggressive, died again, and then they won that game. So they are totally like, we're going to keep going, pedal to the metal, not letting up ever, and if we get blown out as a result, that's what happens.
Yeah, it definitely can. And I mean, based on the two games that we've seen, the teams look pretty evenly matched, right?
Right.
Flyquest was actually ahead in game 1. The Baron went tragic. They ended up losing the game off that. Game 2, they're able to take. We're in game 3. It's definitely looking like a close series. But report cards so far for the two teams, to me, it kind of looks like Flyquest is overall in the series coming out a bit on top.
Right, I would definitely agree with that. The fact that they are the ones making the proactive plays. You even look at a number of the plays that C9 has worked out well for them in Game 3. It's mostly off the back of reacting to what Flyquest is doing. And I personally always favor the proactive team because as you get later and later into the season, it's much harder to change your style and become a proactive team than it is to refine your already proactive play. So a team like Flyquest, they have been playing together for a while throughout the Challenger series, but as they play more on the stage, they'll get more and more used to playing with each other. They obviously have a depth of strategies that they can pull out any time. They'll keep progressing, whereas the concern with C9 is when other people start catching up to them, are they going to be able to keep forcing plays, which we haven't seen a ton of, at least in this series.
Yeah, we definitely haven't. But one thing to C9's credit is, you know, Jensen, in an interview I had with him earlier this year, was talking about the development of contracts. And they didn't even think they would be doing well in the early season. They thought it would take more time for contracts to adapt to the stage. And as he does learn and grow and improve as a player, C9 can get a lot from that, right? Because contracts has looked pretty good, but I certainly don't think he's been, you know, the top jungler in the league or anything like that. And there is, as a rookie, still a lot of room for him to go. I mean, he's 17, right? Like this is a ridiculously young player, and he could have a really long career. And I mean, it's hard to tell where he could go.
I think it was funny when you made that comment on the previous Analyst Desk segment talking about how you didn't think Contract was all that impressive. You caught a lot of Twitter flack. So do you want to explain a little bit more to justify your opinion with the little bit of free time we have?
I mean, it's pretty much just the fact, I think Contract is a good player, and I think he's done well. But when you look at the jungle talent as a whole, you know, we were going through it talking about some of the players. When you're looking at guys like Inori and Dardoch and Moon and Acadian and even Rainover and all these guys, is Contracts to me a better jungler than those players? So far this season, no. And I think that is a statement that like is pretty defendable, and it's something where he's still very good, but he is more middle of the pack. Whereas most of the players on C9 have really been excelling and looking like the best or one of the very best in their role. Whereas Contracts, although he is a rookie, and that is obviously a big reason for it, I don't think he has been like the top jungler by any means in the league.
Right, and I would agree with that. I think you can look at a number of plays when there's like a rookie jungler is the reason that they are doing things. So that's the big thing for me, is that like Acadian is their early game force, Inori is a bit of the early game force for P1, and Contracts mostly plays off Jensen, I think.
Yeah, but it has been a very good pair for them so far, and it has led them to a so far undefeated season, which
can't criticize too much.
Could remain undefeated. We're going to have to wait on the results of the rest of this game. But I think we are ready to go back to the game, so we're going to hand it over to the casters for game number 3.
Thank you very much, Azael and Mark. Before we do get in, I want to take a moment to discuss a tool that can be utilized to actually set a previous time in the game. Chat, you want to discuss that?
Yeah, so this is actually really interesting. It's the first time the tool has been used. It's called Deterministic Disaster Recovery Tool, and previously when something is deemed a bug and a team is offered a remake, it is a full remake. But with this tool, you can essentially replay the game automatically through to a certain point, which is right before the bug occurs. So the Misfortune Ultimate was deemed a bug, but as we were during this long delay, they've been trying to execute the disaster recovery tool, and apparently it has worked. So we're going to be trying to get back into the game. The bug happened at 10:49. Apparently we're going back to 10 minutes and 20 seconds and should be able to jump right back into the game, which, as you see, at 10 minutes and 20 seconds, we should be ready to play.
All right, let's lock it in.
This is pretty cool.
5 seconds before we get in. And we have been recovered. We'll play out this one.
Oh, that is the biggest bait I've ever had in my life. Why did they pause?
We will see.
Why did they pause?
We will see. The trolling.
Oh, man.
Going on. So
Anyway.
we'll have to see. Because previously, things have been kind of debacled by messing around with time in the game, but we're still looking to make this.
In the process of offering the remake through the deterministic disaster recovery tool, when a team accepts the remake, since it is still a fairly new feature, it's new technology, if the recovery doesn't work, then they go into a full remake. We had been receiving messaging that it had worked, but we will now have to find what the new pause on stage is. Oh my goodness.
You could give that just a second before we get some information in here.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, that's
Too soon.
That's the biggest false start of my life right there. That is. I was so ready for that game to restart.
We'll see the players. I'm sure they were just about as ready to go. And Alltech pointing to something on his screen was kind of a miss right away. So definitely to be something else that they'll find out here. And we'll get that update for you in just a few minutes.
Also, while I believe it was called Deterministic Disaster Recovery Tool, the cool nickname is Chrono Break. I don't know if that's finalized. Like I said, this is a very new feature that they're trying to implement in right here. So Chrono Break or DDR, whatever one catches on and they decide when they actually have our official messaging of this happening after we've used the tool in the LCS. But I'm really excited if this can work, but obviously there's a slight hiccup here with Moon.
It's reported that he isn't being able to use abilities, but actually, after looking at it, they're thinking it may be a spectator on his end.
Okay.
To see that happen, so they may still be happening related to the disaster recovery tool. As I said, kind of sometimes switching that time back has proved troublesome in the past.
Absolutely. That's why the option of a full remake could still be on the table if this does not end up working. But you definitely have to feel for Flyquest and Moon sitting through this now incredibly long delay. I believe we're up around 30 minutes, so.
And this is really
difficult circumstances for both teams to have to go through.
It's really been the goal as well of the team behind the scenes here, trying to make sure that nothing can be affected in these games. And if it can, we can bring the players back to as much work as they have put into that game as possible.
Yeah. That is obviously the hope. We will get word on Moon's issue as soon as possible. And if you're kind of in the mind of the players right here, it's going to be, very interesting to try and get in the right mindset, because they've been sitting here for quite a while waiting for this thing to hopefully execute, and then you're that close. I mean, we've all experienced this as viewers. It's the false start feeling if they'd have to remake again.
Absolutely. You look at two of the best teams in the league. Well, this game is the one they want to win. They're still going on after this to have top spots. Teams still have to gun them down. Woo! Going into stream mode right now, unplugged Riv. And we'll see, going back into game here. They don't want me talking that much anymore.
Okay, so it looks like they've been able to resolve the issue on Moon's end, and we are back in the game. Did they just do it again? They did the same play again?
So
and it killed them.
I think they're testing, getting back in. They're going for that replay.
No,
Did you see what happened? Yeah, it looks like that did play out.
And we just unfortunately missed it on stream, so with the remake game, the gank is successful. We'll have to get a full replay on that. I almost want to see it one more time as they take the Drake afterwards, and we can kind of re-enter ourselves into this game.
I think we're back. I'm going to wait 2 seconds. Yeah, we're back. All right. Contracts into the mid, on to high now. The players regaining the control of the game. Auto attack onto high. Oh. He's walking out of this one slow. Oh, he's dead. Bomb connects. High's going down. Throws up the chair, but he can't even sit down. Bomb takes him down first.
All right, so we are now with a gold lead on a Flyquest because they were able to take the turret after the bot lane kill was successful, but High will continue to be the victim of this counter pick by Jensen in the mid lane. And Contracts, these guys are right back in action.
Fight there in the jungle, just so we're not thrown off. That replay will happen one more time as we see what actually happened in the bot lane when they did engage. After there's a bit of a breathe moment, I don't think they'll be able to get out of this just yet.
Yeah, so to confirm, that was actually real play. They restarted the game at 10-20, and then they decided to go for the gank once again. Flash ult, flash E-ult, and look at that damage! Able to finish off Smoothie this time. Then the Voidlings chase through as well to push him off turret. 500 gold to Flyquest.
Really playing themselves into the situation. Kind of good sports in it as well. We'll see how the game plays out from here. Players trying to find their ground, as I said before. Looks like Hai did find himself going down in the mid lane. He gets back 127 to 91 as we've seen that discrepancy in CS for him. He takes to the side lanes, and it's actually going to be mirrored by Jensen. And it should be the whole time to keep him down.
And that's the thing. It's very difficult for Hai to get involved or do much to Jensen. Even though Jensen has the ultimate to save himself, he doesn't really need it, because anytime Hai will go for a death mark, Jensen can just put 2 bombs right on top of him and gets that instant stun. So Hai can't even really get death mark damage on afterwards. Not to mention the now 2-level discrepancy he faces against Zillion.
Turret down on the bottom. Altec can float around in mid now, as that's going to be Hai's, but Hai coming up the river onto Sneaky. Bullet time into the death mark. Nicely done. The flick of a switch from bot to mid lane.
Yeah, no Zillion there to help, and
right.
Sneaky has been continually picked on in this series. Here comes Contracts on a lemon, though.
Oh,
Can anyone come to help him? Voidling stopped the isolation, so great turnaround on that gank.
He definitely didn't want it after the nether grasp. Sneaky's back up, returning to his team. Looks like Contracts is going to give a little bit of help bot here to Jensen. He may be able to get something onto Hai. Moon's going to be trailing just on the back. Double up. Cut Smoothie's health in half.
Yeah, the game really opening up right now because the bottom lane turret was being able to take down. And however Fly can escape Jensen with the Edge of Night, he will be able to prevent Jensen's instant stun, giving him a little bit more threatening. But especially without level 11 and no Ignite, Hai actually threatening a kill is highly unlikely.
Contracts, though. Ooh. Scryer's Bloom just over the wings. And he's got to be forced out. Moon still hovering the bottom side, even though most of his jungle's gone. He's just trying to pay respects to the power that C9 has down in this bot lane. So he finally gets to the top side. Things cool off for that engage. But C9 still looking to get this bot side in control. Make sure that next turret is down there.
Yeah, and this is going to be all about the split push and collapse game, at least for the next bit for Flyquest. It's going to be really difficult since they don't actually have the advantage in the Zed split pushing lane, but he is still moving to side lanes because they would rather spread the game out and keep Jensen away from the rest of the team since he is the stronger player. Really on Hai now, not to gain the advantage, but really just try and take the CS advantage from Jensen away from the rest of his team.
Also, we just saw Hai leaving Jensen in the bot lane, allow him to get a quick kill on Sneaky. No chrono shift to bring him back. Still has a pretty safe ward to his left. He's going to possibly call for help on this one.
Try and dive him.
Speed up for Contract, still not enough. The ult used in the bot lane. Information now to Fly. And it looks like it's only going to be Moon's rotation down. They can't put too much pressure in mid lanes.
Yeah, Balls was channeling his teleport to try and turn that around, but Impact actually ran up to interrupt it, so that'll go on a big cooldown for Maokai right here. And the pressure's going to kind of stay around Hai. Contracts wants to try again. Edge of Night up. Turret slowly going down, though. Can Flyquest put any pressure elsewhere as Contracts is spending so much time on the bottom side?
Seeing question pings in that mid lane. They do still have vision of Altec there. Top side.
They want a 3-man dive.
It's going to be the Nether Grasp after Flash. They wait, they pause, and they make sure they can get Impact down. Just rotations coming in from Cloud9 here. They have to use quite a bit to get him, and finally take him down in the end.
Yeah, the 3-man Courage of the Colossus shield with the Spirit Visage against 3 magic damage champions makes him quite a force to take down, but with 3 people and all that CC, they eventually were able to do it. They just actually had to burn a Flash and an Exhaust.
Very low in mid lane on this turret. Getting out as much damage as he can. It should be probably enough, no, not enough minions to take it out. Jensen's coming in for the kill, though, and they will have enough pressure after Contracts moves back into the jungle, as this kind of signifies Cloud9 feels good about the aggression, and they will start to back off. Good wards for them as well as they've moved them up to the bottom side.
Yeah.
A little dark on the map for Flyquest right now.
Especially with the Misfortune ultimate being down, that makes this Cloud Drake force pretty simple for C9. They're stronger in teamfights already with this level 13 Zillion, especially when they're up ultimates with Bullet Time and Nethergrass being down. That evens out the Cloud Drakes in this one. And I still feel like later in the game, C9 should hold that teamfight edge. It's going to still be on Flyquest to make the plays to spread out this map and try and pick C9 off.
So Dragon for Dragon as well. Next one's Infernal. Jockey for position on that. Flyquest finally getting those wards back towards the top side. Not really enough to tell them with any denial of vision where anybody is either. They're just getting these back out. Looks like mid lane's just been the clear out. 176 on CS for Alltech as he continues to farm this high, tending to the side waves before they can find another way in.
Yeah, and really the game in a bit of a lull right now with the outer turrets being down in 2 of the 3 lanes across the map, but it's mismatched a little bit. Balls' Maokai still having a really strong game, able to keep that top lane turret up, whereas the counter-pick Zillion has kept that mid lane turret completely fresh and clean here. So Alltech trying to get some pressure in that mid lane, but it's just really difficult for them to push through.
Flytech sounded cool.
Flytech!
I would have stuck with that. Moon picking up red. May actually come back right behind Alltech trying to get the engage in. We did see Lemon Nation on the top side. It looks like they're actually waiting for Cloud9 to engage here. They're just going to walk out of bullet time if they try to engage themselves from the side of Fly. Slowly walking in, Jensen behind contracts for a bit of speed safety as well as life safety. They're just in and out. Not too much to work on. They were doing a little bit of damage once this mid turret was up, but now they have nothing to get around, so they're going to start fighting up towards the river. Not enough vision with a control ward past that brush, and they're really not figuring out where those shots are going, and both take a horizontal position here in mid.
Yeah, Balls' Maokai has no flash, and that's the best way for them to try and initiate in, but they also don't want to go too hard through Cloud9 because of the threat of that Zillion right here, not only having the zone control with the bombs on the ground, but also because he can prevent that execution. Eats the exhaust from Smoothie, though, still nearly kills him, and now the setup push mid. Does Impact decide to teleport in for a flank?
They've got a lot of wards behind. Over by the red, might be too far for Impact to try and do anything. He slowly lumbers out of the base back to the top side, expecting it to be pushed in quite soon from Ball. So things being set up slowly. Actually, he's heading towards mid now. They may figure they made a little bit of pressure. Once they see high bot lane, they'll know that's relieved. Things again panning out to just clearing the waves until somebody really makes a mistake. Infernal Drake's going to be up in about 3-4 minutes. 3-ish. That might be our next fight.
Yeah, especially with the Cloud Drakes matching on both teams. It would still feel like C9 has the zone control advantage, and also the mid lane is so pivotal as far as getting control of that Drake. 20 minutes in, we're just getting closer with 1-1 series. Such a rivalry brewing between these teams, even though it's the first time they have ever played each other. I'm really looking forward to the
kind of
next
saying, we're going to make this a rivalry. That's what's going to happen. High's ready to come in and put down that first place position with the rest of the team, and they have been showing it quite well here in this first spring split for themselves.
Gotta carefully watch out for Lemon in the river here.
Cloud9 contracts going in hard. Bullet time over the wall. He does get the chrono shift on, so we'll see contracts coming back very healthy. Now they back out high, delivering a little AoE damage. Moon, very far in on the Nidalee. Goes down. What would he expect from that? High as well, gonna get taken down here as they all go a little too deep.
The CC locking is immense there from C9. Moon thought he was gonna be going in for the execute, probably envisioned pouncing forward as High comes in with the ultimate, but that's just not what they're playing against. They get caught up completely in all of the Zyra CC, and then Impact comes in. Now they force Baron as Balls comes in on Maokai.
Right onto contracts, trying to down a bit of the DPS. They've actually got Balls cornered in for the Baron. He was taking the damage as Impact had just stepped out. Alltech 0 mana, looking for a double up on the back line. Contracts just out of range, and Sneaky stays alive as well. slivers of health here with Baron real angry, but he still isn't going to take any of the members of Cloud9 down, and neither will Flyquest.
C9 turned this game completely on its head with that last sequence of events. It wasn't the Infernal Drake, it was the random skirmish in the river. Lemon Nation turns it around on contracts, but Jensen's Zillion there once again. The fight continues. You can see Impact is not there, so Flyquest wants to go in. Moon thinks he can flash for the execute, matches with the flash away on Kha'Zix. Smoothie immediately there with the counter, and this is where it just goes from bad to worse. Impact flash over the wall for the easy CC onto High, and that's all they need to be able to force a 5 versus 3 Baron.
Ooh, interesting. We heard Azael say on the desk that you would kind of have Moon going in, or Mark, I saying, just go in. I'm probably going to die first. It doesn't matter. But that was Moon that time. A little too far. The team could not get a hold on his engage. And now we see Cloud9 trying to work this engage down towards the bot side. Baron's gone. Map is objective free. A 22-second Dragon. So a good fight down here could mean that Dragon and this turret.
Yeah, it feels like it would take some wizardry for Fly to come back against this team right now when there's just so much CC, an exhaust, a revive against High Zed, and not many other Fed members. He's just
roaming around. He got pinged. They're like, questions.
Trying to sneak around everywhere. There's no, he's been gone for so long. Oh, spotted.
Sneaky's like, I don't feel good about this. Sixth sense, someone's behind me. Steps over Ward. He is correct. And with High kind of roaming around looking for a pick that the team could work off of, they give Cloud9 time.
Yeah, they might just go straight for this inhibitor. Ball's still not there. They might. Flyquest may have made the call to try and get 2 turrets for an inhib, but there's no need for C9 to actually stop until Flyquest goes back to base.
And I feel like this is a calm call to say, yeah, they're going to take it, give it up. Where is Balls? When does he come back on this one?
Back eventually.
This is going to be a Nexus turret getting hit. He is going to teleport in. Maybe they wanted C9 to commit more to the base, but he comes in on a Nexus turret, not a turret behind him, and Cloud9's got a free way out.
And the decisiveness by Cloud9 pays off huge. Flyquest cannot get either of the turrets they were intending to trade. So it is essentially just the inhibitor for nothing if you're looking at Flyquest. C9 come out way ahead.
They have been able to stop these calls on each other all game, staving off the next move. Cloud9 finally pulls a fast one in. Very unlike Flyquest. Make the wrong decision to not pull Balls back right away. 7-4 here. It's 25 minutes into the game. And that is an inhibitor down in the bot lane.
Exactly, only 24 minutes in as well, Ribbon. We talk about the beginning of a rivalry. They definitely have a memorable first series. I mean, Flyquest jumped out to a 6,000 gold lead 29 minutes into game 1, unable to close in despite having that legendary teamwork that High has for leadership. Then High comes back in a big way, huge damage on Corki, wins game 2, and we have our first like half remake with the Chrono Shift tool being able to restart the game 12 minutes in, and now after all of the delays, Cloud9 really jumps out ahead in this game. It'll be about whether or not they can close it down and stay undefeated on the year.
Oh, it's fitting Zillion is in that first remake. The top turret getting taken down as Cloud9 strengthens their hold now on Flyquest. Looking for this second turret. Nobody's actually going to be in mid, so all 5 members here looking to put the pressure on. Does Flyquest answer? Better idea to let this one go on the outside, but they don't think so. At least Balls going in, losing a bit of health.
C9 is playing so well coordinated right now. They're just zoning off with the bolts, but Jensen might get caught. Oh
Jensen
no!
locked up. Can he get the Chrono Shift to go down?
He didn't get it off!
He is dead. To right. They're going to keep following through. A good hit. High goes through as well. Pulls himself back. Another kill going on to contracts, and Cloud9 as they continue to push forward for the turret. Nobody's with you, Impact. Got to be careful. He is just flexing his muscles right now to wait for the minion wave to come in. 2 for 2 now, but that's High, or Contracts and Jensen down to High and Lemon.
They have to defend the base with the misfortune. That play, though, was Jensen getting ulted by Lemon Nation and then silenced to not be able to get his ultimate off. And caster curses of all caster curses, right as I say they're playing so coordinated, Jensen moves forward in front of the tank because all C9 had to do there was keep Impact in front, and anyone that Flyquest tried to go on could be saved with Chrono Shift, and they could just chip away with the Jin poke at the turret, but they do not do that. They give a few kills back, and they keep the door just barely open for Flyquest.
Teleport still there for Impact on the way back in. Does not have to be with the team right away. See Baron in a few minutes as well. Maybe a no contest on that, but we'll see this fight once again.
Yeah, the start of it was great for C9. You can see they don't really take any damage. They're able to just re-siege the turret. Impact should be in front, but here Jensen wants to combo with like a Thunderlord's proc on the double bomb he landed onto Altec and just kind of walks into a Malzahar, forgetting where he is for a second, and he dies. That allows High to have freedom to jump in, but even then he gets eaten by the exhaust. They still CC him with the Nautilus because Impact has been right on top of High the whole game, and ultimately it's a 2 for 2. So that really speaks to what an advantage C9 had. The Jensen can step forward that badly and it not cost C9 horribly.
No, absolutely true. Impact finding that hit on too high. We figured the Nautilus was kind of that one of the final pickups to make sure you could lock something down, and it's working. Working very slowly. They'll try that pressure one more time. Contracts. A little bit of damage, but nothing that's going to turn the team away. They ping towards mid lane with it being pushed up. Bot wave is going to have to get some respect from Fly again very soon. It looks like they may be setting up to engage this.
Yeah, they just got to keep moving around. No Baron this time, though, so the minions don't last nearly as long. That can be cleared away. Even so, as long as C9 can keep Flyquest contained, they're in a pretty good spot.
That turret's going to go down to these super minions. It just got pinged by Fly. Cloud9 knows those minions are going to do work, so Impact tries to go in immediately. The team actually is getting routed by Fly and can't help him right away. Ping's still in the base. That turret is almost down, and now Flyquest has to retreat.
Yeah, it looked like Jensen tried to run around the corner, but couldn't quite get in range for the Chrono Shift, but as you mentioned, this could be an open Nexus if can't quite make back in time. He does. It's fine. Everyone calm down.
A slow heal now on the Nexus turret. Fly is trying to kind of say we can take the fights, but Cloud9 isn't stepping into them fast enough, so the amount of time Fly is spending outside their base is only costing them more HP. I feel like Cloud9 is starting to realize that if they want to stay for the fight, they'll make it even longer of a fight from the side of C9.
And even though they have the inhibitor up, Balls has to finish off that super minion and then get to Baron Pit if they want to be able to fight C9. Impact's going to be coming up. He's going to be walking towards that pit, and C9 should look to set up with a straightforward Impact initiation. Only if Flyquest can start pushing C9 out of position should they have the good chance here. It would have to be quite a play by Flyquest to get something back here. The C9 just want to set up a standard fight line, bait Flyquest into Baron, and then run at them with Zillion speed and a Nautilus ultimate.
Flash away from Lemon Nation. Both teams trading a bit. Oh, the bomb's coming through very strong onto Contract. And he goes very, very deep. High gets caught on the top side, can't get out of that one. Sneaky on the back is burning down, but still tries to deliver the poke in. Lemon Nation on Stranglethorns gets taken down. Cloud9 looking to end this one. Altec with the flash. They get on to Sneaky as he throws down the curtain call. Jensen trying to get the bombs in. Altec is just fancy footing every skill shot right now. Keeps himself alive to deliver the DPS. And Flyquest comes out on top.
This miraculous team fighting by Flyquest and impatience from C9 is keeping this game close. C9 does not wait for Impact to come in. Contracts has to get the Jensen ultimate for himself, and that opens the door for High to pressure in the backside. So really a well-played fight by Flyquest, creating enough chaos to have C9 jump at an opportunity when they could have just waited for the standard play, and Flyquest walk away for that 3 for 2.
What an intense game. Could it really change at this point? Everybody's got a part of the kill share. We'll see this fight again, but Flyquest trying to get back in.
I mean,
make a good case of it.
Impact is in the middle of between the two turrets, and Moon just jumps away. Meanwhile, Contracts get bursted down, and High jumps to the backside, so everyone's looking at him, and yes, Impact bursts him down again, but watch Altec's bullet time right there gets a full channel. Impact doesn't want to continue walking up, and Altec also didn't have to use summoner spells before that, so he flashes into position, even though it's just Balls.
Summoner heal out of that.
To finish him off, sidesteps the dredge line, and that's some pretty impressive team fighting there from Flyquest.
That was like Summoner heal Yomu's. He's got some spider fingers going on down there at NMF. 11 to 10, 31 minutes in. As I said before, the kill share is making this game even closer. Everybody with 2 or 3 on the side of Cloud9, so that money's coming in, as well as shared by Fly. So this game is on a knife's edge at this point, but for Cloud9 to take a fight, they could be right in the base for the win.
Yeah, and one thing that is slightly equalizing these fights is the fact that Balls is so fed on Maokai. And Jensen as a Zillion is a great blocker for the Zed, but doesn't have large amounts of damage, so there's not many people to actually kill the Maokai as he goes in again.
Looks pretty comfy on the front line, absorbing a whole lot of damage with vengeful Maelstrom on. Nobody's stepping in line for a double bomb. Looks like he may just give it to Balls. It is it on that one. Curtain call for bullet time, back and forth. The DPS ults from the AD carries are gone. And now they're in onto balls once more. It's been the full hit. Dredgeline just missing on High. He continues to pull him back. Lemon Nation is down as High goes in for the first time. Finds a squishy target, but will he be able to get out? The next one comes up. Deadly Flourish into the hook, and High gets locked up. Fly is just getting back to their base, and Cloud9 looking to push the waves once again. These fights aren't really coming up with any results other than kills right now.
Yeah, these fights are evolving with the game. You can see the patience now happening from Cloud9 as Impact just sits in front, and they slowly but surely whittle away on balls after getting this Drake. They do not want to overcommit into a bullet time or mouth of ultimate, and they know that they generally win the front-to-front team fight. So they're waiting, they're eating through the Misfortune ultimate, and they're just eventually going to get him down, they think. But if they take too many spears, they're in trouble, and then High just has to bide his time. He sees the dredge line go down, he sees his opportunity, bursts smoothly before Jensen can get off an ultimate onto anyone, and then you can't dodge everything because they're just throwing so many skill shots at him. Finally, Sneaky finds him with Deadly Flourish, and C9 wins the fight, 2 for 1, as well as the Infernal Drake. Now they rush Baron as High just respawn.
Moon has a pretty tough route in. High very far away with a flash down, but the spears could be quite scary here. They give respect to that. Cloud9 backs off, and they say it was worth a try. We just didn't have the timing. It's going to be a push here by Fly, but C9 will be able to get back to the mid lane. Oh, no, they won't. I didn't see balls coming in to stop them on the side lane, so nice movement.
Flashes in,
but Moon just got crushed on the back line as well. They can't really follow him up. Jensen's low, double bomb out. Sneaky and Smoothie are down with the trade of Lemon Nation, and we're gonna see Jensen getting killed here by High. Throws down the chrono. He's gonna pop, and it is the double kill coming in for High as he goes down valiantly. They're on to Impact. That's the ace for Flyquest.
Flyquest keeps showing up in these team fights. How are they doing it? They're able to get the bullet time that eviscerates C9 as a team. They kill both the backline and forced out the Zillion ultimate. A 5-for-2. They're going to get the Baron and have a gold lead, Riv.
Absolutely ridiculous how relentless Flyquest is. Just a few minutes ago, their Nexus turret was going down and they were choosing to not clear the base. It seems to have been the right call after all to keep the pressure on the map and continue to pressure Cloud9. It was a fight in the top lane that started to swing it, and they continue here now to the mid.
And I have to credit Altec for positioning in these fights. Moon gets hit by a double bomb, but then Altec, look at this bullet time. Unreal damage. And then I think it was Deathfire Touch Misfortune if I checked the Keystone Masteries, and that ticks him out at the end of it. And here, watch High. Finally able to work around something was said. Knows the ultimate's on Jensen. Waits until, doesn't proc the corner shift. Knows the death mark's going to do it. Gets the double kill, and then they run down Impact at the end of the fight. Just exceptional play there by Flyquest against the odds, pulling out these team fights.
The calls are starting to roll in, and Cloud9 is behind each other on them. We heard High, it may be a bad call, maybe a good call, but the team is always behind each other. And even with Moon going down to about 20% health there, the fight was completely engaged still by Flyquest.
Yeah.
Cloud9 back out, try to get some wards and get themselves back. Oh no, not back into the game. It's very even now.
Yeah, really
Get
insane.
back into a fight.
What's happening? I mean, Sneaky now finally having Last Whisper, but you can see the sustained damage of Jensen, even though they had that massive team fighting advantage with all the CC to knock down High. If they're not able to get contracts as Kha'Zix or Impact, Nautilus Ultimate onto Altec, it really feels like that bullet time is just cutting through everyone on the team. And somehow with the Nidalee Zed, not known as your team fighting jungler and mid laner, Flyquest is coming back through team fighting against Cloud9.
High can now add a little bit of pressure to the side lanes. More options here for Flyquest. Still, inhibitor open on the bot side. Not really going to get too much love now that all the waves are pushed up. So Cloud9 has a little bit of cleaning to do around the house before they can make sure they have that advantage to push up one more time. A lost fight would really mean Fly inside the base and possibly the game.
Yeah, and with the Baron, the Zed split push actually becomes threatening again. Guardian Angel as well, to make it so he gets to stick around in these fights where oftentimes C9 is just kind of bursting out and then walking through them with Nautilus. C9 still wants to team fight generally the same way. They just have to find a way of getting onto Altec and not getting baited by what look like easy kills onto someone like Moon.
Pings onto High. Trying to initiate high still. Delivering some damage from the side with his shadow. Knows that bot lane is going to be pushing pretty nicely, so they can work with that in just a few. Still going to go tend to it. Give it a little trim. 2 dragons to each team with 30 seconds left on the Elder Dragon, and they share the same dragons.
Exactly, it's insane. And also Moon now with all this AP, if he's able to land one of these spears onto a squishy target, it could be pushing them off of Elder Drake, because that puts them in execute range. So he's just throwing these, and C9's dodging all of them. As soon as one lands, though, it could be incredibly impactful.
Contracts meeting up with High in the jungle for a bit of damage. The tanks there giving each other a little bit of love as no engage come from the anchor toss of Impact. And here the split push begins. They send at least Jensen down, the fastest clear they have for these.
High doesn't have the Baron buff. He was dead when they got it, so Jensen trying to zoom forward a little bit. Unable to proc the GA, and because of Moon's blue buff and large amounts of AP, he can heal High up. Elder Drake up. Flyquest might actually be forcing C9 into them. Gotta be careful about that Elder Drake damage as it does add up. C9 is conceding.
High around the side, he almost can't. You know you're gonna lose one if they get Elder, the 4 members with that, or actually 5 members with that. They're gonna be huge.
C9 doesn't have the vision, and they don't want to face check into a Misfortune Ultimate and a Malzahar, so they're very cleverly trying to sneak in. Now Impact's in. Elder Drake's still at 5,000. They want to fight.
Should be all right. Ball's in the front line. The GA's on. Altec tries to get the side position for a bullet time, but they're not close enough yet. It's just Impact in the DPS if he were to fire it off. Sneaky takes his chance, but very low on mana to deliver anything but auto attacks from here on out. And Balls is taking a lot of damage. Oh my god, Altec! And Moon get absolutely wiped out. They're going for Balls now. They're going to be able to drop him possibly. The GA to res there. Lemon Nation is out of the fight. And what a hit Flyquest takes as Cloud9 slowly walks themselves in for a fight win.
Slowly but surely, as you say, Impact just got closer and closer and eventually got into range to catch out Altec, and that is not where Flyquest wanted their bullet time to be. He gets destroyed by the zillion bombs as well as the Kha'Zix jumping in. That's Elder Drake for C9, and they reestablish control.
Exactly the type of matchup we were looking for.
What a game.
Which side will win the battle? Let's see this fight again.
I mean, Balls take so much damage just being in front as the rest of Flyquest are trying to land an Italy Spear, hoping for C9 to go in. And no one wants to overcommit. That's why they're being so patient in this fight. But Impact gets the dredge line onto Altec. Altec had hide behind that wall the whole time. That's immediately followed up by Smoothie's ultimate. High does manage to sneak in the back and just catch Smoothie there, which does kind of hurt C9's ability to kill the Elder Drake very quickly. But now we got about 2 minutes left of this Elder Drake, an open inhibitor, 1 Nexus turret, and Baron up within the duration of Elder Drake. So a big power play here for C9.
They just gave it a ping on the bot side. High making sure that wave stays very clear. All the way up past mid. Looks like they're going to push down the mid lane here, then be able to rotate down towards that bot side with this Elder Drake. Anybody that stands in their way is going down, so Fly has to stand as a team and make sure this works. Flash down for Smoothie. We saw a pretty good Stranglethorn engage there as he locked everybody up in the last one. Mainly the reason High was able to get him. But now that's kind of the trade that Flyquest sees themselves finding. 1 in, 1 out. Cloud9 starting to come out on top of those trades. Top lane being pushed in by Impact. Looks like mid lane for the rest of the members of C9.
Exactly, and C9 also can't let go of their control once again, because 15 minutes ago they had complete control of this game, but they kind of let Flyquest creep back into it. They have to be more patient this time. They have the Elder Drake right now. They're waiting the 20 seconds for the Baron respawn, and then you would think they would slowly walk up for the push that they were trying to do 12 minutes ago. They go a little early here because they see High in the mid lane, which is smart, still having that Elder Drake, and this is when Flyquest definitely does not want to fight them.
Shrine is up. They have everything in their favor here. It would be a very difficult fight. Flyquest is going to say we can stave off the Baron push.
Yeah, exactly. Flyquest does not want to contest this Baron because Elder Drake is still up, and if they lose a fight here, the game is completely over. They're hoping to either trade a turret on the side for that Baron, or just to not lose directly at Baron. I should be able to get this before going back, although Jensen's potentially going to be persistent on this chase. Now it's going to be all about people going back, getting the elixirs, and just arming up for this final fight.
There's also hardly any inventory space for the control wards to come through here. It's all about what your trinket is. We only see a few spots left open as these final recipes are being completed. Very, very tense here, 42 minutes in. 18-17. We know fights at this time can turn either way.
C9 wants impact in front, potentially the next minion wave, and then they want to get the turret slowly. If Flyquest ever tries to initiate is when C9 can turn. Remember the last fight where they get onto Altec? That is enemy number 1 for C9 because he alone, if he gets the right bullet time off, can take down 4 members of Cloud9 with that bullet time. Everyone who's not a super take like Impact. So they're going back to get that minion wave, trying to get it to base. Surprising they're going here instead of the open inhibitor, but they think if they can open this, they get at least 2, maybe the game. There's the bullet time.
Still in front, sneaky low. Contracts Edge of Night just on the side. And here comes High. Will he be able to find his way back? It's about 3 members with a bit of AoE from the Shurikens. And they are able to kind of hold the Baron. It seems like they made that right choice.
Yeah.
They just can't make a single error here. That turret's still going low. They may have to concede it after all.
Exactly, and they force a recall attempt by Impact, who is going to teleport back in. They don't have an Ocean Drake, so the regen's not great, but it's still decent this late into the game. They're going back in for more. Teleport onto the minions so the turret can't go down, but they're kind of held back by High. Here we go. Oh, they get Lemon.
Lemon's the focus. Depth charge dredge line. Contracts actually gets out. Doesn't want to show himself right there. He would have been the focus. Got to remember, Lemon still has that ultimate. High doing great damage from the outside. Inhibitor goes down. Remember now, those are going to be super minions pouring in. Bot lane's push, so they're going to head for top as they try to do more damage to Flyquest base.
Yeah, trying to break all the turrets, even though there is an exposed inhibitor. They don't think there's a defense for Flyquest. They are right here, so they get it, but they don't have the inhibitor yet, and Fly is constantly trying to find that flank.
Look at Contracts being such a bait. He's saying, take me out. So that's the GA. High can't waste his skills on that for even a second, unless the team is behind him.
Bullet time is back up, as is the Nethergrass for Lemon Nation. If C9 do try to overcommit, the positioning is paramount for this fight.
Yomu's goes off. They're onto Lemon Nation. Nethergrass isn't going to do much to Impact. Smoothie low. They get onto High. It's going to be a hit there. High keeps himself alive. A sliver of health coming back. GA, a good shot from the curtain call. And they're onto Moon. They're onto Altec. Oh, Altec can take down Contracts. One more shot, but Contracts gets the swing of the claw. Moon's next. He gets himself out, and Contracts comes back up on the GA as well. Wanting himself to go down. Cloud9 inside the base in Flyquest. It's looking grim.
It's just the one turret. High back for base. He's going.
Goes to the backside, able to get sneaky down. They are definitely going to have to worry about him. Contracts won't be able to step up to the turret. They live for a little bit longer.
So Balls actually got run down on the backside by Jensen. That is so critical. Jensen's ultimate is back up as well. There's very little High can do.
It's going to be Cloud9 onto the Nexus, putting themselves goal side to the fountain. What a 2 matches coming out. The slugfest from C9 and Flyquest, but Cloud9 will stand tall and hold the #1 spot in the North American LCS.
And what a series that was, Rib. The beginning of an epic rivalry between Flyquest and Cloud9. We had questions about whether or not Flyquest could stand toe-to-toe with the top teams in the North American LCS. And I feel like even though they did not close out this series against Cloud9, they answered that they absolutely can. And Cloud9, to their credit, stayed undefeated in series.
And these guys have to know, even after a loss, not even a disappointing loss, a very hard-fought loss, that they'll most likely be meeting each other down the road at the end of the season, because not many teams have shown that much back and forth to test each other.
Yeah, and you can see the hugs coming through, especially to the former teammates in these games. A lot of camaraderie between these teams. And this series,
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
Not only was this series epic and close in 3 games in a battle for first place, it's also so memorable. The massive delays we had in the middle of the series, the epic near comeback we saw in Game 3, the actual epic comeback we saw in Game 1 by Cloud9. This series had a little bit of everything.
It leaves a lot of hearts filled for the Cloud9 fans, but as well as Flyquest. You cannot be disappointed with that game if you are a fan. The loss is going to hurt, but you, like I said, you see this team moving on, and the second half of the split looks very bright for both teams. Jensen coming out with that victory. He said, I replaced this guy. I should be able to beat him.
Yeah, well, he did, but it was close.